The story begins, introducing Chapter 1, player Shin Sang-yoon. In a desolate wasteland, the colossal corpse of a vanquished dragon lies still. A triumphant warrior stands on the dragon's head as a system message announces his victory in the ancient dragon's nest. The battle-worn warrior leans on his sword, sighing in utter exhaustion. He angrily questions why he's still fighting so hard at 55 years old, revealing his name is Shin Sang-yoon. Shin Sang-yoon stands on a cliff, reflecting on the 30 long years he has spent living as a swordsman. Feeling like a nobody among countless players, his attention is suddenly caught by an unexpected reward. A glowing skill book materializes before him, sparking a glimmer of hope. He curiously wonders if he can eat this skill book, just as he has with other artifacts. A sudden flash of light startles him as a new presence announces itself. A system notification declares that the constellation Late Bloomer model student has entered. A small, robed figure with glasses descends from a swirl of energy, surprising Shin Sang-yoon. The Late Bloomer model student formally blesses Shin Sang-yoon for his hard work and compliments his final strike. Shin Sang-yoon offers an awkward but sincere thank you to the tiny being. As the miniature constellation hovers nearby, a system window displays Shin Sang-yoon's current level is 650. He laments that he has yet to benefit from his constellation due to its difficult requirements, recalling the need to reach level 850. The Late Bloomer model student urges him to eat the skill book, and Shin Sang-yoon nervously agrees. With determination, he prepares to consume the book, which emits a brilliant light. He recalls past failed experiments, including trying to boil artifacts to understand his unique skill. He also remembers frying them, but none of his desperate culinary attempts yielded any results. Back in the present, he holds the glowing book, reflecting on all the time wasted on his useless experiments. The powerful skill book pulses with a vibrant blue aura in his hands. He sighs with deep regret, knowing that, unlike others, his own awakening didn't grant him immediate power. He opens the book, only to discover its pages are completely blank. Infuriated, he slams the book down, demanding to know how a skill book could have no instructions. The flustered Late Bloomer model student explains that there is very little information about the skill and apologizes for its inability to help. The constellation suggests trying mana synchronization again, claiming there's a lot of time left, which triggers Shin Sang-yoon's anger. Tears in his eyes, he desperately shouts that at his age, he has no time left. He frantically explains his mortality to the naive constellation, lamenting that he's old enough to have grandchildren. The Late Bloomer model student apologizes sincerely, and Shin Sang-yoon calms down, saying it's not the constellation's fault. He confesses that his life is filled with regrets, a statement that startles his small companion. He recalls his youthful dream of becoming a heroic knight in shining armor. With a heavy heart, he admits that he is now too old to achieve that dream. As he laments what could have been if he were younger, his constellation listens in silence. Deciding to retire, Shin Sang-yoon tells the Late Bloomer model student to find a new player as he's canceling their contract. In response, the small constellation begins to radiate an immense, overwhelming power. A bizarre energy envelops Shin Sang-yoon as he stares in shock at his constellation. The constellation reaches out with its hand as reality begins to dissolve around them. A system message explains that the Late Bloomer model student is utilizing the essence from all of Shin Sang-yoon's experiments. The constellation's ultimate power is unleashed with a single defining action: regression. The scene shifts to a TV interview where reporter Park Jong-min discusses the nature of players and their environments. His guest, CEO Han Hyun-jung, agrees, describing dungeons as essential stepping stones for players' growth. She further clarifies that gates are dimensional portals that connect to unknown regions. A young man with black hair watches the program, contemplating his own thoughts on the matter. Wiping his dagger clean, the young man notes that it's been a while since he saw the show. He reflects on his confusing situation, having grasped that he has somehow traveled back 30 years in time. He remembers losing consciousness and waking up, shocked to find himself in his studio apartment from 3 decades ago. Looking at his youthful hands, he confirms he is no longer in his 55-year-old body. A distorted, glitchy memory of the constellation's power flickers through his mind. Shaking off his confusion with a confident grin, the newly young Shin Sang-yoon decides it's time to get to work. Shin Sang-yoon considers his bronze-tiered dagger a simple weapon from this early time period. But with knowledge from the future, he knows it possesses a powerful hidden skill. Pa. He channels his energy into the dagger, causing it to glow with a vibrant blue aura. A system window reveals the absorption rate is 10%, but retrospectively doubled to 20% due to his future experience. He grins, knowing the rate is low only because, in this timeline, he hasn't used it for long. The system announces mana synchronization, with Venomoth's dagger has officially begun. He is pulled into a dark void as his hair turns pure white, a new form manifesting. Now with white hair, he explains this as the gap of unconsciousness, a space he enters to eat artifacts, nervously awaiting the dish. Ah! To his surprise, a glistening, perfectly roasted chicken materializes in a bowl. Titan. The system announces that preparations to absorb Venomoth's dagger are complete as he stares at the meal. A system notification identifies the dish, rotisserie barbecue chicken drizzled with olive oil. Well, that's one way to get your protein. Relieved, he's glad it's a normal meal, and not the disgusting humid swamp centipede dish he feared. He eagerly takes a bite of the chicken leg as the system begins the artifact's absorption. Success. He permanently gains +2 agility and acquires the hidden skill Demon Bash. Pa! Having served its purpose, the dagger shatters into fragments of light. Back in his room, he sighs at the dagger's destruction but is content with the new skill he's gained. With a confident smile, Shin Sang-yoon decides it's time to head out. At dungeon number 85, Team Yoon Daekyung prepares to enter a massive, swirling blue gate. A worried porter group leader rushes over, calling for team leader Yoon Daekyung, who seems annoyed by the interruption. The porter leader explains that a newcomer, Shin Sang-yoon, has just pulled out of his team. A blonde player casually informs him not to worry, as Shin Sang-yoon has been moved to the main player team. Stunned, the porter leader can't believe a new porter is being sent straight to the player team. Yoon Daekyung confirms he approved it, but the porter leader argues that Shin Sang-yoon just awakened. The porter leader frantically protests about team balance, but Yoon Daekyung sternly cuts him off. Grabbing the porter leader's shirt, Yoon Daekyung menacingly shuts him down. He reminds the terrified man that he alone controls the party and its rewards. As Yoon Daekyung walks away, he dismissively insults the porters for daring to complain. The blonde player asks Yoon Daekyung why he unexpectedly accepted a rookie into their ranks. Yoon Daekyung smirks, explaining his plan is to let the newbie die to silence the porter's complaints. They laugh about the uselessness of a level 1 player, just as Shin Sang-yoon cheerfully calls out to them. Shin Sang-yoon approaches the two men with a bright smile, carrying a large sword. Placing a hand on his hilt, he confidently introduces himself as Shin Sang-yoon. The porters glare at him with disdain, while Yoon Da-hyung and the blonde player smirk mockingly. Shin Sang-yoon observes their open hostility, realizing they aren't even trying to hide their contempt. Yoon Daekyung puts on a friendly facade, welcoming Sang-yoon and feigning concern he would be late. Shin Sang-yoon plays along, sheepishly claiming he prepared by watching a lot of YouTube videos. Yoon Daekyung notes a longsword is difficult, but Shin Sang-yoon promises he'll at least protect himself. Patting him on the chest, Yoon Daekyung loudly praises his spirit. With a booming voice, he announces the start of the dungeon raid. The entire team roars with excitement, ready to charge into the dungeon. They step through the shimmering portal as Yoon Daekyung instructs them to wait at the entrance. Inside the dungeon, two players already start a friendly rivalry over who will get more kills. As Shin Sang-yoon walks ahead, Yoon Daekyung watches him silently from behind. Yoon Daekyung scoffs internally, thinking Shin Sang-yoon is a fool for believing he can survive a dungeon after watching videos. Undeterred, Shin Sang-yoon stands ready, fully aware of the challenges that lie ahead. He calmly recalls his future knowledge of the raid strategy as a horde of orcs appears. He knows this orc dungeon is notoriously difficult for new players, a true wailing wall. Yoon Daekyung grins cruelly, certain this stupid idiot is about to meet his end. His smirk vanishes, replaced by utter shock as he stammers in disbelief. Yoon Daekyung and his party can only stare at the battlefield, littered with the corpses of slaughtered orcs. The aftermath of the battle is gruesome, with the corpses of vanquished orcs littering the ground. A fallen orc lies defeated, its final moments frozen in time. Now Shin Sang-yoon stands alone, his blade glowing as he faces the colossal orc chief and its undead minions. The orc chief, a mountain of green muscle, turns its glowing eyes toward the new challenger. Shin Sang-yoon reflects that monsters are common tropes in fantasy media. He continues his thought. Explaining this familiarity bred a dangerous prejudice. This led to the widespread and often fatal assumption that all orcs are weak. He concedes that compared to truly epic monsters like dragons, orcs are indeed weaker. They are stereotyped as nothing more than stupid, violent brutes. Because of this, arrogant new players often walk to their doom, underestimating the threat. Announcing his attack, Shin Sang-yoon recalls that orcs' traits are quite simple. Pa. In a flashback, a player is caught off guard by a sudden, powerful blow. A mighty orc easily overpowers a player, demonstrating their raw physical strength. A violent spray of blood marks a swift and brutal end for the unfortunate player. Back in the dungeon, the party proceeds cautiously down a stone hallway. A hostile player in black armor gets in Shin Sang-yoon's face, warning the newbie that he's on his own. The porter leader watches Shin Sang-yoon go, resentfully calling him an arrogant bastard. Shin Sang-yoon sheepishly promises to try his best, musing that no one is kind to a newcomer. The hostile player angrily berates him, shouting that just trying isn't good enough. Unfazed, Shin Sang-yoon calmly asks to fight on the front lines, shocking the hostile player. An enormous, green-skinned orc champion emerges, letting out a ferocious growl. The porter leader panics at the sight of the monster, but Shin Sang-yoon simply says, "Oh." Pushing the hostile player aside, Shin Sang-yoon cheerfully volunteers to handle the orc, leaving the other man stunned. Pang. However, the hostile player intercepts the monster's first strike with his shield. He furiously screams at Shin Sang-yoon, questioning his sanity for using a slow greatsword. As the man continues to yell, Shin Sang-yoon calmly tells him to stop talking and pay attention to the enemy in front of him. The hostile player's lecture is cut short, as the orc's axe swings down with deadly intent. At the last second, Yoon Da-kyung dives in, blocking the blow meant for the distracted player. The impact sends Yoon Da-kyung skidding back, but he holds his ground. Yoon Da-kyung furiously scolds the two, demanding they get their act together. The rest of the party watches in awe, with one player praising Yoon Da-kyung's amazing save. Yoon Da-kyung confidently tells the others to stay back as he prepares to face the orc alone. Pang! He expertly parries a powerful swing from the orc champion. Straining against the beast's strength, he defiantly claims its attack is nothing. With a powerful thrust, he successfully stabs his sword deep into the orc's chest. The party cheers for their leader's apparent victory, but Shin Sang-yoon and the blonde player share a knowing, sinister grin. KRRR. Far from dead, the wounded orc's eyes burn with pure rage. Roaring, GRAKTAR, the enraged orc raises its axe for a devastating final attack. Yoon Da-kyung can only stare in disbelief at the monster's terrifying resilience. His sword shatters under the orc's foot as he realizes his critical blow failed to kill it. Shin Sang-yoon observes the unfolding chaos with an unnervingly calm expression. He internally notes that even as the highest level player at 50, Yoon Da-kyung can't land a fatal blow on the monster. Cursing the beast, Yoon Da-kyung desperately tries to fend off the attack. With a mighty blow, the orc sends Yoon Da-kyung flying across the room. Yoon Da-kyung lands heavily amidst a pile of lesser orcs as the champion finally dissipates. A party member cries out in relief that Yoon Da-kyung managed to kill it after all. Trying to save face, Yoon Da-kyung laughs it off as nothing, weakly asking if everyone is okay. His party enthusiastically cheers, praising their dependable leader for his victory. Just as Yoon Da-kyung rallies his team to move on, a new war cry, "Ogar!" freezes them in their tracks. A massive new horde of orcs, led by a terrifying chieftain, roars, "Graktar!" from a nearby tunnel, their raid far from over. The enraged orc chieftain lets out a ferocious roar, its eyes glowing with malice. The party panics, shouting about the arrival of high orcs and armored orcs, and desperately asking their team leader for orders. Visibly shaken, Yoon Da-kyung suggests they retreat for safety, internally admitting he can't possibly fight this many powerful monsters. As the party stands frozen, Shin Sang-yoon steps forward, surprising everyone. The party erupts in disbelief as Shin Sang-yoon offers to fight. The hostile player calls him crazy, while the porter leader apologizes for the rookie's audacity. Ignoring them, Shin Sang-yoon charges past the stunned Yoon Da-kyung toward the orc horde. A party member screams a warning that he's going to get himself killed as he rushes in alone. Wham! His greatsword connects with the first orc in a shower of sparks and force. The powerful blow shatters the orc's armor and sends debris flying everywhere. The remaining orcs stare in shock as the force of the attack ripples through their ranks. Standing over the bisected monster, Shin Sang-yoon casually admires his handiwork, noting a greatsword is nice for a clean cut. Stuttering his name, the other players stare in utter disbelief, unable to comprehend how he just split a high orc in two. With a confident smirk, Shin Sang-yoon rests the bloody blade on his shoulder, ready for more. Grog, another red-skinned orc chieftain, roars, leading the next wave of the assault. The chieftain leaps into the air, bringing its massive axe down for a devastating strike. As he meets the charge, Shin Sang-yoon muses that he may be low level, but he has more than enough experience to make up for it. With incredible speed, he cleaves straight through another charging orc. The chieftain's axe descends, but Shin Sang-yoon is already moving to intercept. Dodging with ease, he asks the beast if it knows what's coming. In a flash of steel, his sword slices through the orc's head, ending it instantly. The other players watch in horror and awe, with the blonde player wondering if the rookie might actually slaughter the entire horde. Pointing his glowing sword at the final chieftain, Shin Sang-yoon declares, "You're the last one." He charges the final, heavily armored orc chieftain. His sword bounces off the chieftain's thick armor with a loud clang. Yoon Daek-young shouts in alarm that the attack failed because the monster's skin is too thick. As the chieftain prepares to counterattack, a wave of panic hits the party. Shin Sang-yoon simply smirks, telling his anxious teammates not to be so dramatic. The chieftain freezes mid-motion, looking down in confusion as its body seizes up. A system window flashes, announcing the activation of his skill, Demon Bash LV. 1. The massive chieftain is completely paralyzed, unable to move as Shin Sang-yoon stands ready. A skill description reveals Demon Bash is a hidden skill that hinders a target for 2 seconds. Grinning, Shin Sang-yoon tells the immobilized monster to stay right where it is. Gee, Grecker! The chieftain can only roar in helpless rage. Grrr! The paralyzed monster collapses, defeated, as the bewildered party looks on. Yoon Daek-young and the hostile player stare blankly, their minds reeling from what they just saw. In a state of shock, Yoon Daek-young wonders what the hell he just witnessed. Staring at the carnage, he realizes Shin Sang-yoon used a powerful hindrance skill. He's baffled, noting it was far stronger than the common ultra-short hindrance. Yoon Daek-young recalls that the best hindrance from a named player is only 1.5 seconds. The party murmurs in disbelief at his skill with a greatsword, wondering what kind of YouTube videos he watched. Yoon Daek-young struggles to process how a rookie used such a powerful skill against an armored orc. Recalling Shin Sang-yoon only just awakened, Yoon Daek-young internally demands to know where he got that skill, as the rookie casually cleans his blade. A system notification congratulates Shin Sang-yoon on leveling up. He checks his status, unconcerned with leveling but intrigued by the new evasion title he earned. Prompted to spend his new stat point, he calmly reviews his status menu. He puts the point into luck, reflecting that he learned its importance for skill and drop rates far too late in his past life. Yoon Daek-young approaches cautiously, stammering as he asks if he is truly Shin Sang-yoon. Staring intently, Yoon Daek-young demands to know how he acquired the hindrance skill. Shin Sang-yoon thinks he can't reveal his regression, so he nervously laughs and lies that he just got the skill upon awakening. Continuing their confrontation, Yoon Daek-young furiously asks if Shin Sang-yoon's explanation makes any sense at all. Yoon Daek-young grabs the sword, asking if he's sure he didn't just get insanely lucky. The greatsword emits a faint, otherworldly glow. Shin Sang-yoon smirks, inviting him to check the sword's properties, which leaves Yoon Daek-young stammering in shock. Staring at the blood-stained blade, Yoon Daek-young is left speechless. A system window confirms the weapon is just a faded greatsword, an ordinary artifact with no special abilities. Yoon Daek-young screams in disbelief that it's a regular greatsword, to which Shin Sang-yoon calmly replies that he already told him so. Yoon Daek-young fumes internally, realizing that even at level 50 with 2 years of experience, he lacks a skill as powerful as the rookies. Suddenly, a party member shouts a warning as a massive, spiky monster appears at the end of the hall. The party realizes in horror that the dungeon's middle boss has finally appeared. The blonde player calls out to the team leader, and a grim-faced Yoon Daek-young rallies them to move forward. He leads the party forward, his resolve hardened. As they move on, Yoon Daek-young warns Shin Sang-yoon not to overstep his bounds. He continues, saying that fancy skill won't be enough against the demon orc they're about to face. The blonde player taunts him, asking if he's scared. Unfazed, Shin Sang-yoon stands amidst the carnage and makes a proposal. If I kill the demon orc on my own, he asks, can I take the artifact? He seals his bold challenge with a brilliant, confident smile. In his mind, he visualizes the prize, a rare artifact obtainable only by defeating demon orcs. He knows the artifact is incredibly difficult to obtain, even after slaying hundreds of demon orcs. In his past life, he remembers his battered team only got to see the Crimson Stone when another party was lucky enough to find it. A teammate congratulates their captain, but his past self seems confused by the event. He recalls watching that lucky party discuss the immense profit the stone would bring. The other team's leader irritably tells his excited teammate to stop spitting on him while he talks. The memory of that bitter moment fuels his determination. Returning to the present, he stands before the rest of the party, ready to face the boss. Recalling the party's loot rules, he confirms that if he defeats the monster alone, there should be no issue with him taking the reward. Yuan Daikyung remains silent, seemingly weighing the rookie's audacious proposal. Meanwhile, the hostile player and the porter leader look on with expressions of pure greed and disdain. The other players mock his arrogance, asking if he thinks he's special for killing a few orcs, while the porter leader nervously tries to calm them. After a tense moment, Yuan Daikyung turns away and coldly grants him permission. Do as you please. The others are stunned, but Yoon Daekyung clarifies the deal. Sang-yoon only gets his chance if the main party fails to kill the boss first. He points menacingly at Shin Sang-yoon, demanding confirmation that he understands the terms. Easier than I thought, Shin Sang-yoon muses, agreeing to step aside for this battle. Yoon Daekyung dismissively agrees and leads his party away, leaving Shin Sang-yoon behind. The rest of the party hurries to follow, calling out for their leader. Internally, Yoon Daekyung seethes, calling Shin Sang-yoon a cocky bastard who's full of himself over a single good skill. He vows to clear the dungeon himself, to shut the rookie up, placing his hands on the massive doors. As the team enters the boss chamber, he resolves to prove that experience, not luck, is what truly matters on the battlefield. But just as they enter, he freezes in his tracks, his confident expression turning to shock. A system notification announces their arrival in the middle boss's room, where a terrifying shadowy orc awaits. The torches in the chamber flare to life, illuminating the scene. The system identifies their foe, the bloodthirsty demon orc, with the coveted Crimson Stone embedded in its chest. Composing himself, Yoon Daekyung orders his team to prepare for battle. He recalls intelligence suggesting the boss is easy to defeat and orders his party to circle around for a rear attack. I'll take the lead, he roars, readying his shield. With a mighty war cry, the entire party charges headfirst toward the monster. In the next moment, Yoon Daekyung lies dazed and bloodied on the ground, utterly confused. What happened? He stammers, struggling to sit up as Shin Sang-yoon watches impassively from the doorway. Tisk. Shin Sang-yoon shakes his head, musing that he can't believe they were foolish enough to simply charge straight at the boss. A party member panics, asking a dazed Yuan Daekyung what they should do as the monster towers over them. The blonde player cries out that they're all going to die, while a bloodied Yoon Daekyung struggles to recover. Internally, Yoon Daekyung curses himself for trusting bad advice from the markets about this boss. Deciding they can't win, he orders a retreat, much to Shin Sang-yoon's silent amusement. A beatific smile spreads across Shin Sang-yoon's face as the party falls into chaos. Stunned, Yoon Daekyung turns and furiously asks what the hell is wrong with the rookie. Yoon Daekyung ignores him and shouts the order again for everyone to retreat immediately. As the party flees, they plan to use the boss's low peripheral vision to escape, thankful it's only a middle boss. Yoon Daekyung calls out to Shin Sang-yoon, who calmly responds. In an intense stare-down, Yoon Daekyung warns him not to get any funny ideas. Gripping his greatsword, Shin Sang-yoon confidently tells the leader not to worry about him. With a confident smirk, he stands ready to face the demon orc alone. He prepares his greatsword, its blade gleaming in the dim light. Gur, the bloodthirsty demon orc, lets out a furious roar as it swings its massive axe. Unfazed, Shin Sang-yoon calmly walks forward to meet the monster's charge. He internally admits that in a pure stat comparison, he would never be able to defeat the demon orc. However, he knows all the experience he's gained will more than even the odds. With a brilliant flash of steel, he effortlessly parries the massive axe. Gur, the demon orc, grunts in surprise, its attack completely thwarted. Watching from a safe distance, the party is stunned, with Yeon Daekyung wondering if he really just heard a clank from that exchange. Shin Sang-yoon stands his ground, facing the towering, blindfolded beast. Grrr, the monster growls, its crimson stone heart pulsing with malevolent energy. He internally notes that his Demon Bash skill's 2-second stun is decent, but hard to improve on its own. He then reveals his unique skill, Devour Artifacts, lets him combine skill effects, allowing him to stack stuns repeatedly. Resting the blade on his shoulder, he taunts the monster, asking what's wrong and daring it to attack him. Grrr, the beast growls, enraged by his taunt. Roaring with fury, the demon orc's crimson stone glows intensely. Shin Sang-yoon charges forward, directly into the monster's path. Grinning with anticipation, he says the monster's rage is exactly what he likes to see. He goads the monster on, knowing that its rage is the key, because now he can easily find its weak spots. He dashes beneath the monster's wild swing, declaring it's time to attack. Boom! The demon orc's axe smashes into the ground, missing him completely. A system window flashes, announcing the activation of his skill, Demon Bash LV.1. The demon orc freezes mid-motion, stunned for a full 2 seconds. Yeon Daekyung stares in disbelief, realizing the rookie's skill works on middle bosses and calling it completely broken. Shin Sang-yoon smirks, musing that he knew orcs were simple, but is still amused a demon orc fell for his trick. His eyes flash with purple energy as he prepares a devastating follow-up attack. Voke! He unleashes a powerful upward slash that tears through the stone floor, but mid-attack, he stops, realizing with a sweat drop that he forgot something important. A green light suddenly emanates from the demon orc's chest. A system window reveals the demon orc's self-regeneration ability has prematurely lifted the stun effect. He grimaces, realizing his stun has a 15-second cooldown, and noting this is why he desperately needs the delay skill. With his stun on cooldown, he resolves that if he can't stun it, he'll just have to defeat it normally. He braces himself as the recovering demon orc looms over him, its axe ready. Clang! He meets the monster's powerful strike with a perfectly timed block. He smirks, thinking to himself that this seems simple enough. From the back, a party member anxiously tells Yeon Daekyung they have to leave now. The blonde player observes that the rookie's skill isn't working, and Yeon Daekyung wonders why it failed. As he dodges another blow, Shin Sang-yoon recalls the massive gap between their base stats. A voice roars in disbelief, questioning how he can make such a confident face. With an arrogant smirk, Shin Sang-yoon suggests they end things right here. He launches himself forward in a burst of speed. As the demon orc roars, he knows he must use its own strength against it. He expertly redirects the monster's momentum, positioning himself for a counterattack. With a ferocious grin, he resolves to pierce straight through his foe. The monster's massive axe shatters upon impact. Clang! A system window confirms he has defeated the middle boss, the demon orc. The monster's shadowy form begins to disintegrate. His blade remains buried in the defeated orc's chest, right where the crimson stone glows. Ping! 2 system notifications announce that he has leveled up twice. Phew! He stands over the fallen boss, multiple level up notifications and status windows appearing before him. Looking over his info, he notes that he already has 2 titles, and wonders if that's a perk of being a solo player before noticing something. He turns to see Yeon Daekyung and the rest of the party returning. Yeon Daekyung and the blonde player stare back, their faces a mask of bloodied shock and disbelief. Shin Sang-yoon thinks to himself that he knows just how to avoid these kinds of annoying situations. Ah, I almost died, he yells dramatically, feigning exhaustion as the party looks on. Baffled, Yeon Daekyung scoffs, wondering when the rookie could have possibly damaged the monster, but then his eyes widen in shock. Staring in astonishment, he demands to know what Shin Sang-yoon truly is. Shin Sang-yoon stands before the defeated party leader with an air of absolute superiority. HMPH. He smirks, declaring he will give Yeon Daekyung a chance to preserve his honor. He tosses the glowing crimson stone to the stunned party leader. Mumble Yeon Daekyung realizes Shin Sang-yoon is simply making him keep his promise, and quietly admits his complete defeat. Shaking it off, he yells for his team to regroup and prepare for the final boss. As the party leaves, members whisper in awe, doubting the rookie really beat that monster on his own. One party member wishes he had that stun skill, but another dismisses the idea, certain it wouldn't work on a middle boss. Once alone, Shin Sang-yoon smiles devilishly, musing that the audience is now gone. He stares intently at the crimson stone and wonders, why don't I try eating you up? A system window describes the crimson stone, a rare silver artifact that grants the special effect delay and boosts stats. He enters a mental void, the gap of unconsciousness. Whoa! His hair flashes white as he's enveloped in a strange blue energy. Suddenly, a divine-looking bowl of bibim naengmyeon appears before him, identified as a master chef's creation. Amused that things are going his way, he decides he can't resist such a classic dish. He lifts a perfect bite of noodles and savory meat with his chopsticks. A system notification joyfully announces he has gained the special effect, delay. Clutching his shirt, he suddenly feels nervous about what comes next. He commands the system to bind the new delay effect to his Demon Bash skill. The system confirms the merge, showing the Demon Bash icon now enhanced with a delay symbol. The skill's description updates. He can now use Demon Bash again during a stun to extend it. He crouches as power rains down on him, stunned by the result. Gulp. Staring at the skill description, he's shocked that his theory actually worked. "Can we talk?" asks Yoon Daekyung from behind, to which Shin Sang-yoon agrees without looking away from his menu. Yoon Daekyung explains the final boss, the Orc Berserker, is ahead, and asks if he wants to join in later. "No," Shin Sang-yoon replies with a sharp look, surprising the party leader. Yoon Daekyung recovers with a smile, placing a hand on his shoulder. He amends the offer, agreeing to let him join, but reminding him that his original conditions still apply as they shake on it. Yoon Daekyung turns to his team and tells them it's time to get going. Tiesk. The blonde player looks back with a grimace, telling everyone to keep their guards up. Shin Sang-yoon watches them leave, a perplexed expression on his face. As the party heads for the boss room, Yoon Daekyung cheers that it's the final stretch and promises drinks afterward. The party arrives at the final boss room of dungeon number 85. Kneeling in the chamber's center is the final boss, a monstrous orc radiating a powerful, dark energy. The shadowy beast rises, its glowing red eyes fixed on the approaching party. Ahem, a nervous Yoon Daekyung tells Shin Sang-yoon that he will take the lead. Ignoring the leader, Shin Sang-yoon walks forward, telling them to just stick with him. As someone tries to warn him, he internally notes that orc berserkers have lower skill resistance than demon orcs. I shouldn't have any problems, he thinks, dashing forward to confront the boss alone. The orc berserker roars, revealing a terrifying fanged maw. Hayek, the terrified porters, shrink back from the horrifying sight. He recalls his past struggles, being rejected for his low level, and fighting just to survive. Fueled by these memories, he unleashes a brilliant attack on the boss. Yeah, I need to change. Pray, E-G-H. As the monster shrieks and swings its club, he resolves to change his weak past. Its eyes burn with rage as it unleashes its full fury. To do that, he grips his sword tightly, determined to show them, "This is a test of your reading comprehension. Please read the following paragraph carefully and answer the question that follows." The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. This sentence is famous for containing every letter in the English alphabet. What color is the fox in the sentence? A new chapter in my life has begun. I'm embracing the unknown with open arms and an open heart. Each day is a blank page, a chance to write a story of growth, resilience, and joy. I'm excited to see where this journey takes me, and I'm ready to face any challenges that come my way with courage and determination. I'm building a life I love one step at a time, and I'm grateful for every moment of it. What a monster, Yoon Daekyung thinks, utterly stunned by the rookie's display. My overwhelming abilities. He lands a devastating slash, sending a spray of purple blood across the chamber. Kuoch. The berserker cries out in pain from the powerful blow. A system window confirms the activation of his skill, Demon Bash LV. 1. Go in and nuke him. Yoon Daekyung roars, leading the party to attack the stunned boss. Whoa. The stunned orc berserker reels in confusion. Kui. The monster groans, still dazed by the sudden assault. Enraged, the berserker begins to thrash wildly, its power flaring. A system window announces their victory. Congratulations! You have cleared the dungeon altar of the Crimson Orc. Standing over the fallen boss, a party member marvels at how easy the fight was, not even needing a single potion. The porters eagerly whisper amongst themselves, already vying for the chance to become Shin Sang-yoon's personal porter. Annoyed by their sudden change of heart, Shin Sang-yoon scoffs internally, resolving not to do a thing for the Fairweather porters. Bathed in the light of multiple level-ups, he examines his post-battle rewards. He marvels at his new titles, and a now 4.4-second stun, rewards he never could have dreamed of in his past life. Still, he reflects soberly that this is nothing compared to that man. He thinks of Du Gyung-soo, the Ghostblade, a player known as the Title Collector and the Complete Sword. This man is Korea's strongest swordsman player, renowned for his many powerful titles. But with a newfound determination, he vows that he will eventually be able to catch up. When a confused Yoon Dae-kyung asks what he's doing, Shin Sang-yoon awkwardly claims he's just stretching. What? Yoon Dae-kyung surprises him by holding out a glowing ring. Acknowledging his contribution, Yoon Dae-kyung gives him the item, to which Shin Sang-yoon dryly notes his sense of morality. Yoon Dae-kyung admits it's just a bronze rank item, prompting Shin Sang-yoon to quip about his brutal honesty. The party leader clarifies he wouldn't have been so generous with an expensive item and that their paths will now diverge. Yoon Dae-kyung admits that Shin Sang-yoon is already living in a different world from the rest of them. The blonde player seethes with jealousy, enraged that the leader is fawning over the rookie after his own years of loyal service. Motherfuckers! Go die together, he mutters, furiously typing a message on his phone. The scene shifts to Shin Sang-yoon's home in the Sungpa district. Kya! He celebrates enthusiastically, loving the perks of being a player. Looking at his phone, he sees a massive 6 million deposit from Yoon Dae-kyung, far more than a porter's usual pay, a bonus on top of that. He smiles, pleased with both the money and the new ring. A system window identifies his new item, the Berserker Ring, a bronze artifact that grants the Lighten effect and a +10 strength boost. The Berserker Ring glows softly in his hand, a symbol of his newfound success. Shin Sang-yoon muses that even a bronze rank item is useful to him. He notes that the ring's mana drain would be a huge problem for most players. With a confident smirk, he notes that he is not like most players. He recalls his past life, where he also devoured a mana-consuming artifact. The results of that experiment, he remembers, were absolutely shocking. He reveals that devoured artifacts lose their mana cost but gain a penalty. Blue energy crackles as the Berserker Ring floats above his hand. As the system begins mana synchronization, he scoffs, unconcerned about any penalty. Grinning intensely, he declares that the more skills he has, the better. The scene shifts to Private Club H in Seoul's Gangnam district. In the club, the jealous blonde player drunkenly rants about the rookie's 4-second stun. A large, menacing man sitting with a woman dismissively asks him, "So what?" The blonde player insists the rookie must be rich and using an artifact, but the large man angrily tells him to figure it out himself. Nearby, a woman teases a man with scars over his eye about his loser acquaintance, earning an irritated hey from him. The blonde player flinches in sudden, wide-eyed shock. Kaya. The scarred man, his eyes glowing ominously, menacingly asks who they think they are. A sword instantly slashes the blonde player's neck. Kuwag! He screams as a drink is poured on his wound, told that he'd better pay the price. The scarred man smiles with sadistic satisfaction. The scene changes to the Jamsil 4-3 training grounds, where Shin Sang-yoon arrives. OWWW. He sits on the steps, feeling the after effects of his new power. Blue. He gags in disgust, discovering the Berserker Ring's devoured form is a lethal-looking cucumber soup. Shaking it off, he lifts his greatsword, certain there's a silver lining. Whoosh! He confidently tosses the massive greatsword into the air. He reaches out to catch the hilt as it falls. He easily catches the blade, marveling at how much lighter it feels. The system window explains the new lightweight effect, which reduces all artifact weights but is halved as a penalty. He decides to stick with the greatsword for now, nervously hoping he doesn't accidentally let it go. Looking over his player info, he smiles, pleased with the results. He resolves to start attracting the attention of the constellations, but knows he must choose his one patron carefully. A glowing, divine silhouette of a female being with antlers appears, representing the powerful constellations. For now, though, he acknowledges that he lacks the stats to gain their interest. Facing a row of training dummies, he concludes that practice is his only option. Exhausted in his car, he thinks to himself that he almost died from the strain. Getting out to stretch, He blames his fatigue on 3 days of training and a long drive. Massive, swirling blue dungeon gate materializes in a forest clearing before him. He smiles, glad that he can now simply drive to dungeons. He falls silent, his expression hardening as he senses something. As his car drives through the woods, he's being watched. Standing beside his car, he leans on his sword in the darkened woods. He realizes he's been followed through the forest and wonders what his pursuers want. Unfazed, he decides he'll deal with them inside the dungeon. He dashes into the swirling blue gate to enter the dungeon. Inside, 3 men emerge from the portal's energy behind him. The scarred man and his 2 companions stand ready for a confrontation. The scarred man wonders aloud how they entered a solo-only dungeon. He glances at a gold coin in his hand, the key to their entry. Shin Sang-yoon stands calmly, waiting for them to make a move. Their full party of 4 assembles as the scarred man calls Shin Sang-yoon an idiot. Shin Sang-yoon smirks, noting they're no ordinary party, and offers them a chance to leave peacefully. The 4 pursuers stand silhouetted against a dark, menacing presence with glowing red eyes. One of the men grins maniacally, taunting Shin Sang-yoon that if he dies here, no one will ever find his body. Shin Sang-yoon smirks, musing that he's well aware of the danger from player killers, who were thought to be eradicated. An archer in the party calmly readies his bow, eager to wrap things up quickly. A large, brutish player looks on in confusion, surprised by Shin Sang-yoon's response. Shin Sang-yoon explains with a grin that this is exactly why he waited for all of them to arrive. The large player and the scarred man curse at him for his arrogance. The scarred man steps forward, calmly proposing they handle things the easy way. The large player scoffs at the suggestion, internally vowing to tear Shin Sang-yoon apart. The scarred man condescendingly praises Shin Sang-yoon, while he confidently challenges the entire party to attack him at once. Enraged, the large player roars and brings his massive blade down in a powerful strike. Thump! The huge blade slams into the ground, right in front of Shin Sang-yoon. He remains perfectly still, utterly unfazed by the ferocious attack. He recalls his past life, remembering the constant threat of monsters in dungeons. He remembers the brutal competition against other players for valuable artifacts. His memories are of a life that was always on the line. Staring at his new opponents, he recognizes this situation as a reflection of his brutal past. Standing over 2 fallen bodies, he declares that everything that happens here is entirely up to him, challenging the remaining foes to make their move. The remaining party members charge forward in a coordinated assault. The scarred man leads the attack with grim determination. The man with brown hair rushes in, his face set with intent. The scarred man yells a warning to his team to keep their distance. Another player shouts for cover as they try to get into their battle positions. The archer cries out in shock, realizing Shin Sang-yoon has already killed their teammate, Sang-ho. He reflects in disbelief that Sang-ho was level 100, while Shin Sang-yoon is a recently awakened player. Twirling his massive sword, Shin Sang-yoon taunts the archer, asking where he thinks he's going. The archer curses him, calling him a monster as he looses an arrow. The glowing arrow flies straight towards Shin Sang-yoon, who leaps to intercept it. His eyes glow as he prepares to effortlessly block the incoming attack. Clang! His blade shatters a volley of arrows, shocking the archer. "This is crazy," the archer mutters as his attacks prove completely useless. His comrades stare in horror as the ground where the archer stood erupts in blood. The scarred leader, Juntae, watches in disbelief, wondering how he threw his greatsword, while his companion asks who this monster is. Juntae charges towards Shin Sang-yoon, who rushes to meet him. Juntae believes he has the upper hand, seeing that his foe is unarmed, and now is the perfect time to strike. "Now!" Juntae screams, lunging forward with his blade for the kill. His companion watches intently, ready to follow up on the attack. The remaining 3 enemies converge on the unarmed Shin Sang-yoon from all sides. Clang! Just in time, he catches his returning greatsword by the hilt. He parries 2 simultaneous strikes as his attackers scream for him to just die. With a single, devastating swing, he unleashes a torrent of blood and carnage. The brown-haired man can only stare in utter disbelief, gasping, "What?" Standing over the fallen, Shin Sang-yoon remarks that it was a close call, to the surviving player's shock. The remaining 2 players look on in horror, with Juntae calling him insane. The blood-soaked blade gleams, a testament to the brutal, one-sided battle. A hand grabs the brown-haired man, who confusedly asks, Juntae, what are you doing? The scarred leader, Juntae, betrays his comrade, throwing him forward as a human shield. Wah! Shin Sang-yoon's blade cuts through both men in a final, bloody arc. Splat! Juntae crushes his teammate's head, using the man's body to absorb the fatal blow. Whack Shin Sang-yoon stands over his fallen foes, as the shocked traitor Juntae looks on in disbelief. Shin Sang-yoon correctly guesses their goal was achieving awakening through illicit mana stone organ transplants. Dismissing the question, Juntae smirks, claiming that as an experienced player, it makes no difference. Juntae lunges forward with a crazed grin, swinging his sword for the kill. Effortlessly sidestepping the attack, Shin Sang-yoon calmly says he was just asking. A system window announces the activation of his skill, Demon Bash Level 1. Shin Sang-yoon blocks the attack, taunting that he was worried Juntae would bore him to death. Shaking with a purple aura, Juntae realizes with horror that he has been stunned. He can't believe such minor cuts could trigger a stun, denying that such a broken skill could possibly exist. It's over, Shin Sang-yoon declares, as a confused Juntae wonders what he's talking about. Gripped by terror, Juntae realizes he's about to die, a fate he never imagined for himself as the Predator. He flashes back to a happier time with his old crew, who placed all their trust in him. A young teammate with a band-aid on his nose smiles, telling him, I believe in you. The memory shifts to that same teammate, now bloody and betrayed, tearfully asking why. The flashback shows the teammate on the ground, begging Juntae not to leave him behind. As the memory of his past betrayal surfaces, Shin Sang-yoon asks if he's forgotten what it's like to be on the receiving end. Wiping his blade, Shin Sang-yoon sighs that he shouldn't get used to this, as it hasn't been long since he regressed. He briefly considers that it was self-defense before brushing the thought aside. Kneeling, he surveys the pile of glowing artifacts dropped by the slain players. A dazzling array of powerful swords and a bow are among the spoils of his victory. Having collected his new gear, he stretches triumphantly over the remains of his enemies. His player info shows his name, Shin Sang-yoon, at level 10, with his exclusive skill Devour artifacts and massive stat increases. He reviews his stats, thinking that he wished he could have avoided the confrontation. Smirking, he realizes his stats are now on par with a level 50 player and marvels at his incredible growth rate. He picks up a glimmering golden ring from his new collection of loot. A system window identifies the item as the Recovery Ring, a silver artifact that can cleanse status abnormalities. He remembers the first player who charged him, the large, brutish man. He realizes with surprise that his opponent possessed a rare status removal artifact. With a nervous sweat, he realizes he could have lost if he'd relied solely on his stun skill and vows to be more careful. The mana synchronization for the Recovery Ring begins as the scene shifts to a glowing cavern. In a dark mine, a group of goblins march along a set of railway tracks. One of the goblins growls, sensing an intruder in their midst. Shin Sang-yoon, now wearing a long coat and a blindfold, confronts the goblins. He sighs, readying his great sword for the challenge ahead. He recalls the crazy requirement for his next task: kill 500 monsters with his eyes closed. Krrrr. The startled goblins turn and begin to scatter. His blade glows with power as he impatiently wonders when they are going to attack. Kikiki, a goblin, cackles, its long tongue dripping with saliva. Blindfolded, he is surprised to find he can sense their presence. He focuses, knowing he must sense the airflow and listen carefully, his hair beginning to turn white. His hair flashes white as he enters a state of heightened perception, sensing every ripple in the air around him. Confident in his heightened senses, he declares, I got this. Grrr, a goblin roars, leaping through the air with an axe raised to strike. Gak, he effortlessly cuts down the attacking goblins in a single, brutal slash. A spray of blood erupts as his blade finds its mark again. He stands calmly amidst the carnage, the bodies of the slain goblins piling up around him. A grin spreads across his blood-splattered face as he asks himself, this feels good? He suddenly senses an attack from a new direction. He deftly deflects an arrow, thinking he's finally getting the hang of this. Twang! An unseen archer looses another arrow. Grrr, a goblin archer reels back in surprise, his arrow having been easily deflected. Standing on the tracks amidst the dead, he recalls the terrible situation that led him here. He reflects that reminiscing about his past has helped hone his senses for the coming battle. Now, with pure white hair, he smirks confidently behind his blindfold, ready for anything. The goblin horde lets out a collective roar as they charge forward to attack. Grr Goblin's charge is cut short as its head is instantly lopped off. Grr. Another goblin's head is sent flying through the air. He becomes a blur of motion, effortlessly carving a path through the goblin ranks. A vicious smile spreads across his face as he continues his blindfolded slaughter. Geek. The carnage continues as more goblins fall to his blade. Grr. A lone goblin stands frozen, watching the slaughter unfold around it. Grr. The goblin trembles in absolute terror, realizing it's next. Blood drips from his sword, the only sound in the sudden silence. Standing over the pile of bodies, he receives a notification that he has leveled up twice. Removing his blindfold, his hair now black again, he remarks that the fight felt surprisingly easy. A system window reveals his new D-rank title, Lucky Day, which grants a massive luck bonus. Grr. He laughs, pleased to be collecting the titles he needs as more goblins approach. Grr. Another goblin snarls, unaware of the fate that awaits it. A goblin carrying a large sack looks back in fear at the approaching slaughter. Grinning maniacally, he decides to take advantage of the easy prey to gain extra stats. His player info displays his new titles and a massive plus 30 luck bonus, with 5 stat points to spend. Haha. He trembles with exhilaration from his rapid growth. With currency signs in his eyes, he marvels that his new luck stat is better than most platinum-ranked titles. He wonders if this title could be worth $1 billion as a powerful red energy begins to crackle. As the energy grows, he realizes he can finally afford a house in this life. His celebration is cut short as he senses a powerful presence arriving, wondering if it's happening already. In a cosmic void, a monstrous, multi-eyed insectoid creature materializes. The creature is joined by a mysterious hooded figure and a beautiful, ethereal woman with long purple hair. Shin Sang-yoon stands before the 3 magnificent beings. The constellations have arrived. He's shocked that 3 came so quickly and laughs, asking them how they liked the show he put on. The purple-haired woman glides towards him, her gaze fixed upon him. He momentarily worries he was too cocky, then resolves to be more confident, as this is a new experience for him. The purple-haired woman beams with a kind and encouraging smile. He chuckles nervously, telling her he's often been told that he's pretty lucky. Relieved that they all seem interested in a contract, he decides to take his time and assess his options. The monstrous constellation, the cleaner of a fallen dimension, praises his hidden cruelty. The hooded figure radiates a holy, golden aura. He assumes the hooded figure must be connected to the goddess of luck, who smiles warmly beside it. The purple-haired woman leans affectionately against the hooded figure, seemingly confirming his guess. He is shocked as her hand passes right through the hooded figure's form. Wow, really, he asks, a terror of stunned emotion welling in his eye. A fourth imposing figure appears in a brilliant flash of golden light, a long-haired man with an eye patch. This new constellation is introduced as the Archer of Miracles. The narrator explains that Hashimoto Yuki, the Archer of Miracles, was the most celebrated of all archers. The beautiful purple-haired woman now smiles at him instead. He laughs nervously, realizing that with 3 powerful constellations vying for him, he has a tough decision to make. Kukik the constellations bicker amongst themselves as he watches in disbelief. His expression turns serious as he considers the possibility that this might be his only chance to gain a patron. He flashes back to his past life, kneeling in exhaustion after his first 10 years as a player. In his memory, he was known as the late bloomer model student, as another player reached out to him. He recalls being delighted by a fellow player's encouragement, thinking he had a bright future ahead of him. However, that hope faded as he grew old and weary, with nothing changing until he turned 55. He realizes the absurdly high-level requirements of his late bloomer model student title were the cause of his stagnation. In the end, he remembers the moment his friend reached out, casting a powerful spell. He acknowledges that he was able to regress thanks to that friend and should be grateful for the second chance. Now in his younger body, he resolves that he cannot regress again and must succeed this time. He considers his options for a patron, starting with a mysterious hooded figure offering holy powers. His second option is a monstrous, insect-like creature promising pure destructiveness. A third option appears, a beautiful, purple-haired goddess with a confident smile. He turns to face a brilliant light, having made his final decision. His finger presses the glowing Accept button on the system window. A notification confirms he has signed a contract with the Goddess of Luck, who appears before him. As the Goddess of Luck smiles smugly, a notification reveals that another being from a different dimension is watching them. A system window announces that 15 friendly constellations are congratulating him and wishing him the best. He mutters, "What the hell?" As the Goddess of Luck wonders why so many are suddenly interested in him, he brushes off his confusion, deciding to move forward anyway. Extending his hand, he wishes good luck to them both on their new partnership. The Goddess of Luck smiles warmly, accepting their new pact. As their hands touch, a system window states the Goddess of Luck praises him for his wise decision. He turns with a sly look, ready to see the benefits of their contract. The contract effects are revealed. All attacks are critical hits. High-rank artifacts unlock hidden effects, and he has a 100% artifact drop rate from bosses. A tiny version of the Goddess of Luck appears, telling him to state his wish as he stares in shock at the incredible list of benefits. He's stunned to learn of a fourth benefit. Investing 1 point in luck grants 2 stats, an effect that applies retroactively. Overwhelmed by the guaranteed critical hits and artifact drops, he listens as the tiny goddess tells him this is all thanks to his own hard work. The other 2 constellations, the robed figure and the monster, appear before him. He dismisses them, saying that's fine and they can leave, as he needs to focus on his new goddess. The rejected constellations react with shocked disbelief. The Pilgrim of Grand Space vows to wait for their next meeting, while the Cleaner of a Fallen Dimension threatens to cut off his head. He just chuckles at their reactions. Confident in the Goddess of Luck's power, he tells himself to calm down and wait for a better chance later. The scene shifts to the final boss room of dungeon number 101. Clang, he clashes blades with the ferocious Goblin Lord in a burst of power. The tiny Goddess of Luck looks on, startled by the intensity of the fight. He leaps forward, taunting the final boss and questioning its power. The Goblin Lord blocks his sword with a massive spiked club, snarling furiously. The monstrous creature glares with a single glowing eye, ready to strike. Roar, the Goblin Lord brings its club crashing down in a powerful overhead swing. He easily parries the massive blow, deflecting the club with his greatsword. The Goblin Lord's eyes glow with red energy as it unleashes a special ability. He is suddenly caught in a red aura, shouting in surprise. A system window announces the Goblin Lord has inflicted him with the Overwhelm status ailment. Kook. He grins through the pain, having been waiting for the Overwhelm skill to activate. The Goblin Lord's single eye glares, confident its mind-affecting power has worked. He notes that the skill is able to forcibly reduce a target's motivation to fight. Gritting his teeth against the mental assault, he whispers the name of his counter-skill, Recovery. The Goblin Lord swings its weapon with a vicious smile. The ground beneath him shatters from the missed attack. The Goblin Lord shrieks in confusion, wondering why he's still standing. He notes that while the skill has limitations, it's not enough to completely stop a target from moving. He dismisses the boss's ultimate skill as only useful for killing weaker mobs. With his plan working perfectly, he declares that now it's time to test his luck. Keik. A ferocious red-haired Goblin Lord shrieks in a terrifying rage. Keik the Goblin Lord strikes Shin Sang-yoon from behind, inflicting an overwhelming status ailment. Stumbling from the blow, he is covered in blood but remains on his feet. He smirks, taunting the creature by asking if it really thought that would work. A system window announces the activation of his skill, Demon Bash LV.1, Keik. His counterattack stuns the Goblin Lord for 2 seconds, much to its shock. Seizing the opportunity, he lunges forward, knowing he has only 2 seconds to act. He unleashes a savage flurry of slashes against the immobilized Goblin Lord. A notification reveals that his delay skill has activated, extending the stun for another 2 seconds. The Goblin Lord remains frozen as Shin Sang-yoon closes in again. As he attacks, a new notification confirms delay has a 90% chance to extend the stun even further. He grins with sadistic glee, enjoying his enemy's complete helplessness. The Goblin Lord stares in sheer terror, utterly powerless to stop the assault. He brings his sword down in a devastating finishing blow. A level-up notification appears as he finally breathes a sigh of relief. He screams in triumph that the battle is finally over, his player info window confirming his victory. Exhausted, He reflects on the back-to-back fights, wondering if he's pushing his young body too hard. The goddess of luck appears, noting he must have good luck to have accomplished so much. She proudly declares that luck is a skill, and she's happy to support him, prompting him to note her sudden change in attitude. He ignores her, deciding to level up his luck stat first. Whoa! He's stunned to see his luck is over 100, which grants a 10% bonus to related effects. He considers how this will boost his evasion rate, standing tall with a newfound confidence. He turns his attention to the glowing body of the defeated Goblin Lord. A system window identifies the dropped item. The Shield of Goodness, a silver artifact that converts damage into health. He thanks the Goddess of Luck, realizing her presence guaranteed him the rare drop. Touching the shield, he wonders if increasing his luck will improve the rank of future artifact drops. Adoringly, the Goddess of Luck hugs him as he channels his power into the shield. A brilliant flash of energy signals the artifact is being transformed. The scene shifts to the Q Area building, a central hub for players near Jamsel Station. A weary female employee flatly denies his request. With a simple no, he tries to argue his case, but she begs him to rethink his absurd idea. Kook. He grits his teeth, determined not to let this setback stop him. The scene flashes back 2 hours earlier to a car driving on the Honam Expressway. In the car, he happily eats rice and kimchi, relieved that the goblin shield he acquired earlier works. Clank. Suddenly his car begins to shake and make strange noises. He panics as an array of warning lights suddenly illuminates the entire dashboard. Beep, beep. With alarms blaring, he groans, wondering if he needs a new car. He remembers his past life, haunted by a dream of shadowy figures menacing him as he slept. Looking at his greatsword in the passenger seat, he decides he needs to buy used equipment. He grips the steering wheel, a nervous but determined smile on his face. He resolves that he needs a lot of money and knows of only one place to earn it. Narration explains the system of quests was born alongside the age of players. This led to the creation of an organization to manage these quests, represented by a crowd of men in dark suits. The emblem of the Powerful Players Association fills the screen. He smirks confidently, vowing he will succeed within the association system. He speeds toward a tunnel, shouting, "Wait for me, Quest Arena!" Back in the present, he's frustrated at being stopped, while the employee pleads with him to choose an appropriate dungeon. He argues that at level 17, clearing a low-level area would be a complete waste of his time. Tearing up, the employee says she heard that exact excuse before, and desperately begs him to choose a lower-level region. Gritting his teeth, he resolves to remain steadfast and see this through. The employee stammers as a purple-haired archer interrupts their argument. The purple-haired archer smiles, observing the confrontation with interest. He recognizes her instantly as Kim Miso, the notorious marksman of devastation. A powerful, older man looms in his thoughts, representing Kim Miso's influential backer. The narration introduces another top player, Shin Taeri, the Shadow Assassin. Another elite player, the great swordsman Cho Jinyo, is mentioned as part of the same guild. The emblem of the Eden Guild appears, revealing Kim Miso is the daughter of its majority shareholder. Kim Miso approaches, noting that she has never seen him before. She asks why he is attempting a level 100 quest, and he bluntly answers that he needs the money. Nearby players mock him as a newbie, and he silently curses them for their arrogance. Kim Miso warns him that the quest will be challenging, but he confidently replies that he's well aware. He explains his motto is high risk, high return, while telling himself he isn't trying to antagonize her. He flashes back to his past life, recalling the time Kim Miso's party rejected him. She points out a critical flaw in his plan. Solo players are forbidden from attempting the quest. Stunned, he realizes he forgot the solo player ban won't be lifted for another 4 years. Trying to save face, he awkwardly claims he must have misread the announcement. A sly smile crosses Kim Miso's face as she sees an opportunity. She makes him an unexpected offer. "Would you like to come with me?" The other players stare in jealous disbelief at the sudden invitation. Suspicious of her motives, he warily asks what her conditions are. She playfully asks if she can't just help a fellow player, but he admits he has a hard time trusting people. Kim Miso claims she has no conditions, but instead wants him to make a promise. Leaning in, she clarifies her terms. He had better pull his own weight. She adds that if he can back up his words, she'll apologize, and he understands her challenge. He smirks, realizing she wants to test his abilities. A magazine clipping highlights Kim Miso's immense fame as the marksman of devastation, not just a corporate heiress. He meets her gaze with a smirk, suggesting they leave right away. He thinks to himself that this is going to be interesting. Kim Miso turns to a man in a vest, dismissing him for now. She tells her subordinate to take care of his own business, as this might take a while. She thinks to herself that it looks like she will have to find new party members. A staffer returns Kim Miso's level 100 badge as the narration explains she needed an excuse to work with Shin Sang-yoon. The employee continues to argue that he can't enter, an inconvenience for Kim Miso's plan. The staffer looks confused by Kim Miso's grin as she waits for Shin Sang-yoon's reaction. The two players stare each other down, with the terrified employee caught in the middle. Kim Miso asks the employee to show her the details of the quest Shin Sang-yoon was trying to start. Her eyes widen in shock as she reads the quest information on a holographic screen. Defeat 300 monsters, recommended level 100. She's stunned that he chose a difficult defense quest instead of a simpler one. A pixelated graphic explains that defense quests require killing every single monster to succeed. The explanation continues, showing a recommended 4-man party is needed to deal with the monster hordes. She can't believe he was planning to attempt such a difficult quest all by himself. He turns to her with a confident smile, asking if she's getting nervous. Taken aback, she questions his comment, and he teases that her silence made him think she was scared. She suggests waiting for more party members, like a tank, as the employee trembles nearby. Suddenly, he grabs her wrist, pulling her toward the quest window. Before she can react, he forces her hand onto the accept button. A brilliant flash of blue energy erupts, teleporting them away from the lobby. Left behind, the horrified employee mutters prayers that nothing goes wrong, insisting it's not her responsibility. Onlooking players doubt that the level 17 newbie can possibly succeed in a level 100 dungeon. One player reasons that Kim Miso, the youngest A+ ranker, must have a good reason for her actions. The players discuss the Players Association's new ranking system, displaying its emblem. They explain that there are 2 criteria for determining a player's rank. The first criterion is the total number of dungeons a player has successfully cleared. The second is pure battle sense, which is how Kim Miso achieved her A+ rank, confusing the other players. A player clarifies that an A+ rank implies the existence of even stronger S-rank monsters. Another player dismisses the conversation, asking what's truly important right now. The most important thing is that the mysterious newbie just entered a dungeon with Kim Miso. They've been transported to the defense quest, the Age of the Night, and Wolves. Kim Miso stands watch on a rooftop, bow ready, surveying the dark city bridge. She resolves to take responsibility and help Shin Sang-yoon if he gets into real danger. He glances back over his shoulder with a confident, knowing smile. She hopes he uses this opportunity to learn a harsh lesson about his own limits. Her expression hardens with resolve as she watches him from above. A flashback to 30 minutes earlier shows Kim Miso asking him to repeat his outrageous proposal. He tells her not to interfere unless asked, and offers her a mere 5% of the rewards for support. In the present, she murmurs in disbelief that she wasn't just hearing things. She reflects that this quest is difficult even for a level 100 player like herself. He smirks, dismissing her concern by telling her to just wait and see. Sighing, she agrees but counters with a bet. Her cut increases by 1% for every monster he misses. 2 monstrous blue wolves with glowing purple eyes appear on the bridge, growling. He grins, telling them there's no way his new partner will get a single extra percent. A close-up shows one of the vicious wolves snarling, ready to attack. The wolf lunges forward in a blur of motion. He effortlessly dodges, leaning back as the beast sails past him. From her perch, Kim Miso lets out a gasp of surprise at his agility. Yelp! He unleashes a flurry of slashes, dispatching the wolves with brutal efficiency. He becomes a whirlwind of death, carving a path through the pack. With a cruel smile, he remarks on how pleasant their dying yelps sound. Kim Miso watches, stunned, admitting to herself that his strikes were completely flawless. She analyzes his form, comparing his perfect balance of offense and defense to her guildmate, Jinho. She notes his efficiency, slaying multiple enemies with each strike while avoiding any wasted movement. However, she still believes he has a lot to improve on. The reason for her doubt becomes clear as he's surrounded by a massive horde of wolves. Unfazed by the overwhelming odds, he simply smirks. Kim Miso realizes something has been off from the start, questioning why all the monsters are. A system window announces that his skill, Demon Bash Level 1, has been activated. She stares in shock as the entire horde of wolves suddenly freezes in place. It dawns on her that he must have used a powerful stun ability on all of them. Her eyes widen in utter disbelief at the scale of his power. Stumbling back in shock, she almost falls from her rooftop perch. Yelp! The sounds of slaughter echo as he tears through the helpless, frozen monsters. Catching her breath, she confirms that he definitely used a stun skill. She calculates that his stun lasted 4 seconds, longer than Jinho's, giving him ample time to win. As the carnage continues, she can only wonder who this mysterious player truly is. He cuts down another wolf, which seems to wonder why the fight is so easy for him. Another wolf yelps as it is slain by his relentless assault. He stands calmly amidst the chaos, facing down the next wave of paralyzed foes. With a final, explosive attack, he annihilates the last of the surrounding wolves. His eyes glowing with power, Shin Sang-yoon gives a battered but victorious smirk. Suddenly, a new threat is announced: the Black Wolf. A colossal black wolf with glowing red eyes emerges from the shadows, dwarfing the other monsters. Grrr! The beast snarls with pure ferocity, its fangs bared. He faces the new enemy, noting he's never fought it before but feels a strange sense of nostalgia. A system window reveals he's been hit with a stun debuff from the Black Wolf. Surrounded by purple lightning, he's shocked to find the monster use the same stun effect as his own. The massive surge of energy crackles across the city skyline. On her rooftop perch, Kim Miso is startled by the unexpected flash of power. A system notification clarifies that her artifact protected her from the stun debuff. Kim Miso realizes the Black Wolf also has a stun ability, a critical detail she nearly overlooked. She scolds herself for almost criticizing him while he was unknowingly in danger. She reasons that even if he has a stun skill, it's highly unlikely for a low-level player to also be able to negate the effect. To her astonishment, he bursts into motion, completely unaffected by the stun. Stunned herself, Kim Miso wonders how it's possible, mentally listing his perfect swordsmanship and long-lasting stun. She realizes he can also deactivate debuffs, an impossible feat for a level 17 player. He turns to the massive Black Wolf, taunting it and asking if it's surprised by his immunity. He leaps forward, sword held high, ready to counterattack. He declares that the beast's attack has given him the perfect opportunity to seal the deal. He brings his sword down in a powerful, arcing slash. Kiang the Black Wolf whimpers, its eyes wide with pain and disbelief. The massive beast is slammed into the pavement by the force of his blow. He complains about getting his clothes dirty, admitting he misjudged his attempt to slide underneath the beast. Brushing himself off, he decides that since he's already dirty, he might as well have some fun. From her vantage point, Kim Miso watches the last of the battle's energy fade. She can't help but smile, clearly impressed by his performance. He stands over the corpse of the Black Wolf, surrounded by the fallen blue wolves. The quest counter updates, showing 299 of 300 monsters have been defeated. Ding's system windows announce that he has leveled up twice in quick succession. Looking at his status screen, he smirks, satisfied with how quickly he's rushing through the levels. Ding! Another notification confirms he has earned the D-rank title No Fear. He glances back at the field of defeated monsters, a quiet moment of victory. The scene pans out, showing Kim Miso still observing from the rooftop high above. He chuckles to himself, noting that she's finally starting to see his skill after her initial contempt. He stretches his aching back, realizing he needs to keep the show going. A new, even more formidable wolf lord with a scarred face appears from the darkness. He calmly faces the new threat and asks, "Are you ready?" A notification identifies the monster as the final boss, Full Moon Wolf Lord, as it lets out a deafening roar. The Wolf Lord lunges, moving with incredible speed. He braces for the attack, recalling that this boss's specialty is its unpredictable fighting style. The Wolf Lord pauses, seemingly confused by his opponent's calm demeanor. He smirks, telling the boss that after 30 years, its irregular attack patterns have all been analyzed, and offers a mock apology. Grrr! He deflects a powerful blow, sending sparks flying. A system window announces a shocking development. His Demon Bash skill failed due to the Wolf Lord's resistance. Staggering back, he mutters that this is the first time his stun has ever failed, a perk of fighting a level 100 boss. Watching from afar, Kim Miso breathes that he's insane, realizing there's far more to him than she ever imagined. He recovers instantly, re-engaging the massive Wolf Lord in a flurry of strikes. Gra! The boss snaps its jaws, trying to crush him. He dodges the deadly bite with breathtaking agility. He swiftly sidesteps the Wolf Lord's lunge. Ra! The monster snaps at him with furious, gaping jaws. Clang! He meets the beast's claws head-on, blocking the strike with his great sword. Kim Miso realizes he's completely aware of the Wolf Lord's every irregular move. With intense focus, he parries another ferocious blow. Watching from her perch, she realizes there's something even worse than his skill. It's his attitude, he smirks, fully intending to prove his overwhelming strength to her. Smirking back, she wonders aloud, "Who the hell are you?" Their clash erupts in a shower of sparks across the bridge. Kush, he admits to himself that the battle is taking longer than expected. He frets about running out of cool tricks to show Kim Miso, who assumes he must be reaching his limit. The Wolf Lord continues its relentless assault, swiping with glowing claws. A powerful blow sends him flying backward through the air. Gritting his teeth, he sees his HP is low and worries he'll pass out before the boss does. Gra, the Wolf Lord roars, bringing its claws down for a finishing blow. A strange rune appears as he recognizes the boss's attack pattern. He recalls this is the signature attack that has slain countless players. Gulp. Deciding desperate times call for desperate measures, he prepares to use a new ability. The Wolf Lord lunges, poised to land the final, deadly strike. In a flash of blue light, he swings upward, severing the monster's arm at the elbow. The beast's severed limb flies through the air. Kim Miso can only stare in disbelief, uttering a shocked, "Huh." The decisive, brutal strike is silhouetted against a blood-red sky. The shock of his power sends her stumbling to her knees. She cries out his name in a panic. Sang-yoon. Overwhelmed, she curses herself as an idiot who has no right to be a player. In tears, she berates herself for letting her guard down and allowing this to happen. As she apologizes to Sang-yoon, a mysterious, brilliant light envelops her. She stares in awe at the inexplicable glow surrounding her. A shimmering, ornate shield materializes from the light. A system window announces he has obtained the special effect, Sacrifice. The Sacrifice skill converts damage to a chosen body part into healing, with a full heal on overkill. In a quiet moment, he marvels that the conditional healing skill is still useful, pondering which body part to choose. He is prompted to apply the Sacrifice effect, with the system highlighting his head. He considers his options, thinking that choosing a rear body part would normally be the safer choice. He visualizes the safer zones on his back, but has a different idea. He decides to go against conventional wisdom and selects the front of his body instead. A surge of green energy heals him instantly, restoring his HP to full. Back in the fight, he taunts the wounded Wolf Lord, saying it was a close call. He remarks that he's managed to solve both his low health and the boss's resistance at once. A system window confirms his skill, Demon Bash LV.1, has been activated. The Wolf Lord finally flinches, stunned, as he wonders about his own luck. He reveals he gambled that severing the beast's arm would break its resistance and allow the stun to work. With his clothes torn but his body healed, he raises his sword for the final blow. Kim Miso arrives on the scene, stepping through pools of the monster's dark blood. With his blade plunged into the Wolf Lord's head, he notes it took 3 tries for the stun to work. Standing over the slain boss, he decides it's good enough as she approaches. She watches him, her expression calm and composed. She chides him for not mentioning his healing skill, admitting she thought he was a goner. Staring intently, she asks how he knew all the boss's patterns, jokingly questioning if he's in his second life. She narrows her eye in thought, a sudden realization dawning on her as she tries to piece it all together. Shin Sang-yoon glances back over his shoulder, a confident, knowing smirk playing on his lips. Standing before the slain wolf, she asks him to finish his thought, prompting, "As if what?" She suddenly senses an oppressive pressure in the air, her expression turning serious. She concludes her thought, stating it felt like she was watching a high-level rancor, which startles him. He sweats, relieved she didn't guess he had regressed, figuring a normal player wouldn't connect those dots. Looking at the defeated but still living Wolf Lord, she asks him if he's going to finish it off. Grr, the massive Wolf Lord snarls, still stunned but full of hate. He looks up, his expression unreadable as he stands over the subdued final boss. A system window reveals his updated status, Shin Sang-yoon, level 27, with the new title Face Off and the skill Devour Artifacts. A notification details the C-rank title Face Off, which grants a 20% stat boost in one-on-one combat. He's amazed to have gained a C-rank title for single combat, as Kim Miso observes that he got the title. With a knowing smile, she asks if he's cleared this stage before, catching him completely off guard. Flustered, Kim Miso falls silent, sweating nervously after her direct question. She shyly admits she only cleared the stage using a powerful artifact, but he reassures her that finding good loot is a skill in itself. She accepts his compliment with a slight blush, but still seems unconvinced. He waits silently, his expression questioning as she hesitates. She suggests he test out his new title's effect, leaving him confused as to what she means. Ding, a system window announces the activation of his face-off title. A notification explains the skill activated because only player Kim Miso is nearby, shocking him. She laughs and quickly steps away, deactivating the skill's effect as a system window confirms its cancellation. She tells him she will head out first to call porters for their loot, and he gratefully thanks her. He reflects that her actions are logical and feels he has successfully made a good impression on her. She suddenly offers to give up her 5% cut of the quest rewards, leaving him utterly shocked. He protests that her offer is unfair, but she simply runs off, telling him to accept it. She smiles, saying she's sure they'll have plenty of chances to work together again in the future. As she says goodbye, he forces a laugh, realizing he can never let his guard down around her. He turns to the glowing reward, ready to claim his prize after a job well done. He declares it's finally time to see their long-awaited reward, which shines with a brilliant blue light. A massive, glowing blue moonstone materializes, radiating immense power. The item description reveals it's a platinum artifact accessory, granting massive boost to health, mana, and luck. He lets out a triumphant shout, overjoyed by the incredible reward. Cradling the precious stone, he happily daydreams that with this, he can finally afford an apartment in Seoul. The tiny goddess of luck appears smugly, asking if he now believes in her power after such a big win. Suddenly, a notification announces that the one with ripped lips objects to his unfair luck, catching him by surprise. Beep, the goddess of luck, now in an umpire's uniform, initiates a system vote to deal with the complaining constellation. A vote to banish the one with ripped lips begins, with the count climbing rapidly in his favor. The goddess smirks as the vote passes, effortlessly banishing the dissenting constellation from the system. He asks if that was really okay, suddenly recalling just how popular his patron goddess is. He examines the platinum artifact, calculating that he can absorb 40% of its powerful stats. A notification details the stone's hidden effect: drastically increased health regeneration and a permanent stun against all wolf-type monsters. A powerful blue aura surrounds him as he absorbs the artifact's essence, a look of pure satisfaction on his face. A crackling blue portal opens, leading back to the quest area lobby. He steps through the portal, engulfed in an electric blue aura. His eyes widen in shock as he takes in the scene on the other side. Stepping into the lobby, he finds himself facing a massive, silent crowd of players, all staring directly at him. The crowd murmurs, wondering if this is truly Shin Sang-yoon, the man who cleared a level 100 dungeon alone. A woman from the Player Association is startled by Kim Miso's sudden appearance beside her. Kim Miso addresses the onlookers, stating that she would have tried to stop him too, and that everyone present did their best. The association worker cries out Kim Miso's name as Shin Sang-yoon looks on, his face bruised. He feels a twinge of guilt, having almost forgotten the worker, who then loudly calls out his name. Suddenly, he's mobbed by recruiters from the Guru Guild, who eagerly try to sign him up. Kim Miso swiftly intervenes, telling the shocked recruiters that she and Sang-yoon have business to discuss. With a wry smile, she asks if this means the Eden Guild is officially making a move on him. He awkwardly agrees, internally questioning her motives for getting him out of that situation. A sleek, black limousine speeds along the road, carrying them away. Ding! He receives a notification for a 500 million won deposit from the Korea Player Association. Huh! Giddy with his new wealth, he listens as Kim Miso notes how quickly the quest rewards arrived. Laughing in the back of the limo, he's amazed by the speed of the payment, musing that money makes everything faster. Kim Miso thanks him for his efforts, while he's still mesmerized by the 500 million won figure. She addresses him formally as Sir, to which he snaps to attention and replies, "Yes, ma'am." Clack, the limo's privacy partition rises, startling him as the vehicle switches to secret mode. Sweating, he thinks to himself, "I knew it." Wondering what she's planning now, he reflects that there are always ulterior motives hidden behind acts of kindness. Leaning forward, Kim Miso decides to get straight to the point. She addresses him directly as player Shin Sang-yoon. She formally invites him to join the Eden Guild, leaving him completely stunned. He breaks into a nervous sweat, impressed not just by her directness but by her sheer confidence. He flashes back to his past, recalling the small, welcoming guild that took him in when he was talentless. The memory turns grim as he remembers a bloody incident where his guildmates were slaughtered. A vision of himself bound in chains reflects the trauma that still holds him. He begins to refuse her offer, but she cuts him off, asking if he's planning to start a solo guild instead. Stunned into silence, he stares blankly, at a loss for words. She nonchalantly reveals she is the daughter of a major corporation's chairman. She smiles, adding that with his obvious abilities, her deduction wasn't difficult to make. Her insight leaves him completely reeling and caught off guard. Laughing nervously, he realizes she knew his plans all along, yet still chose to be completely transparent. He's impressed, acknowledging that she's skillfully created a mutually beneficial relationship by showing genuine interest. They arrive at their destination, Player Town C, in the Jamsil Station vicinity. An agent confirms the intimidating rental agreement for his new apartment. He jokes with the smiling agent that her calm delivery doesn't make the price any less scary. As the agent leaves, he waves and tells her to take care. He marvels at how quickly he secured the apartment, wondering how the entire waiting list conveniently dropped out. Inside his new, empty apartment, his few belongings sit in the corner: a box, a backpack, and his sword. He slides open a window, taking a moment to appreciate his new home. He's jolted by a flashback to his regression, remembering the terror of waking up in the past. He recalls his initial confusion, unsure how to proceed after his impossible return. Remembering the power crackling in his hand, he reflects on his renewed potential. A fierce, determined grin spreads across his face, fueled by his second chance. He recalls how the restless power of his youth refused to let him remain idle. Thinking of his patron and Kim Miso, he swears to himself that this time, he will live differently. Facing a vision of the people he's encountered, he vows to leave his pathetic past behind. The scene returns to the limo, where Kim Miso takes a call from reporter Park Jeong-min. Shin Sang-yoon listens, unsurprised that news of his feat is already spreading. At his desk, reporter Park Jeong-min is on the phone, trying to get information about Shin Sang-yoon. Feeling the pressure of his coworker's stares, Shin Sang-yoon asks the reporter to get to the point. The black limo pulls up to the curb outside a modern building. He thanks Kim Miso for the ride as he steps out of the car. She explains the next quest, a 4-person free team for players under level 120, assuring him it's not a guild activity. He eagerly accepts the quest, yelling, "I'll go," which startles Kim Miso. She teases him for being so keen on the quest after coldly rejecting her guild offer. Shin Sang-yoon can only laugh nervously in response. He thinks to himself that dungeons are predictable, with fixed layouts and patterns. Gates, however, are dynamic and far more chaotic. He knows that with greater danger comes the promise of a greater reward. This is the fundamental rule of the player world. And in unconfirmed gates, there are special prizes to be won. A first-time clear bonus guarantees a high-rank artifact. He figures Kim Miso must also have experience with these lucrative, unconfirmed gates. Back in the limo, she promises to contact him when she has more information. She asks for his number, but he hesitates, looking confused. He accidentally sees her phone's lock screen, a memorial photo for a deceased man. Flustered, she quickly apologizes and snatches her phone back. She quietly stares at her phone, her expression somber. He watches her in thoughtful silence. Back at his apartment, he muses that she clearly has her own baggage, but that's true for every player. He thinks about his own secret, his regression into the past. It's a truth he can never openly speak about. He worries that if anyone finds out he regressed, it will become a huge problem. A mysterious, hooded figure with glasses is seen reading a book. In the Eden Guild VIP room, Kim Miso sits humming while a man in an orange jumpsuit waits. The man complains that she's ignoring him for her phone, startling her. She explains she's texting Mr. Shin Sang-yoon about a gate, and the man teases her for being so into him. The man insists it's not like that, asking if Sang-yoon is really the one who can maintain a stun longer than him. She notes Sang-yoon's swordsmanship might even be better than his, making him laugh loudly. The man strokes his chin, a thoughtful and intrigued smile on his face. The scene shifts to Shin Sang-yoon at the Jamsil training ground. He's on the phone with Kim Miso, thanking her for the call about the new gate. She informs him that an unconfirmed gate has appeared near Chunni Station. As he agrees to look into it, the man from the VIP room, now with him, tells him to take his time. Sang-yoon reads the gate's details, noting the mid-boss is Cerberus, a level 100 wolf-like monster. Wow, he grins, realizing this is the perfect opportunity to test his new anti-wolf skill. A system window displays his new passive skill, the Age of the Night and Wolves, which stuns wolf-type monsters. Hanging up, he thanks the man, who dismisses it as just sharing news before Sang-yoon grumbles about being summoned for just this. The man smiles, admitting he was just kidding. He tells Sang-yoon he's a celebrity now and to call him Daekyung instead of Captain. Sang-yoon downplays his fame, but Daekyung asks if he has received a certain call yet. Confused, Sang-yoon asks what call as Daekyung shows him his phone. Daekyung reveals an article on the front page of the Player magazine about him, the new star player. Stunned, Sang-yoon grabs the phone as Daekyung laughs that his own phone must be flooded with calls. Ding! Ding! His phone starts ringing, and he complains about the article being published without his knowledge. Daekyung asks if everyone he knows is calling, but Sang-yoon says he's not that popular yet. Deciding to deal with the calls later, he turns as Daekyung gets straight to the point. Daekyung hands him a shopping bag, reminding him of something he'd mentioned. Sang-yoon tries to refuse, but Daekyung stands firm, saying it's not a gift. Inside the bag are old artifacts, prompting Sang-yoon to ask why he needs them instead of new ones. He vaguely explains it's about continuing a legacy, but Daekyung scoffs at his excuse. Sang-yoon laughs awkwardly, unable to explain his secret. Unused artifacts have a better absorption rate. A woman with dark hair walks up behind them, apologizing for being late. The woman with dark hair who just arrived offers a friendly smile. When Shin Sang-yoon asks who she is, Daekyung introduces her as the appraiser for their artifact deal. Daekyung laughs heartily, explaining he brought her to ensure a fair deal, which makes Sang-yoon sweat nervously. A collection of old artifacts glows with a potent pink aura, ready for appraisal. Surrounded by magical energy, the appraiser calmly begins her assessment of the items. Phew. She lets out a breath of relief, her work seemingly complete. She confirms the deal is fair, and Sang-yoon admits to Daekyung that he just wanted to be certain. Sang-yoon is startled as Daekyung suddenly presents his sword to him. Daekyung asks Sang-yoon to evaluate his sword skills, leaving him momentarily speechless. Sang-yoon nervously tries to decline, claiming he's not skilled enough, but Daekyung tells him to drop the false humility. Daekyung insists he's not too arrogant to take advice from others. Sang-yoon looks pained, lamenting to himself that he was hoping to avoid this. Gulp! Daekyung waits with a serious, expectant expression. HMPH. After a moment's hesitation, Sang-yoon decides it would be rude to refuse someone trying so hard. With a confident grin, Daekyung brandishes his greatsword, ready to demonstrate his power. Sang-yoon warns the appraiser to stand back for her safety, and she quickly agrees. His eyes glowing with power, Daekyung roars, "Here I go!" He unleashes a powerful downward slash with his sword. Kya. The appraiser shrieks in surprise, while Sang-yoon calmly observes that Daekyung has been training continuously. But Sang-yoon's gaze sharpens as he notices a critical flaw. Daekyung demonstrates his skill, unleashing a blinding flurry of sword strikes. Sang-yoon interrupts him, and a surprised Daekyung complains that he still had more to show. Stopping him mid-swing, Sang-yoon points out a weakness in his stance. Stunned, Daekyung asks how he knew, and Sang-yoon explains that his left shoulder opens up whenever he swings with his right. Ugh, Daekyung grimaces, frustrated that his flaw was so easily spotted. He admits he has trauma related to defending his left side and can't seem to hide it. He confesses that most of his injuries are on that side, and that he can't fix his bad habit despite knowing about it. But you can, Sang-yoon declares, catching a shocked Daekyung completely off guard. He advises Daekyung to stop hiding his shortcomings and instead find a way to embrace his strengths. Sang-yoon offers to teach him how to change everything from his grip to his breathing, promising a long-term benefit. As he instructs Daekyung on sword pressure, the appraiser watches, confused, while Daekyung grunts that it doesn't look easy. The appraiser blushes as Daekyung cries out in pain, while Sang-yoon encourages him to hold on a little longer. She watches in wide-eyed shock as Daekyung laughs through the pain, claiming he can feel it getting better. Sang-yoon promises it will improve even more and tells him to duck down, further flustering the watching appraiser. The appraiser watches the two men train, hearing Daekyung complain about how hard the new stance is. The intense, up-close training session between Sang-yoon and a sweating Daekyung looks suspiciously intimate. Later, the appraiser's search history reveals her newfound interest in poses for when men hold a sword, and player love. Vroom. A small white car speeds down the road, carrying Sang-yoon away. Driving, Sang-yoon reflects that spending over 400 million won was a good deal, confident the benefits will be worth it. He sweats, thinking that although Daekyung was satisfied with the lesson, it was still exhausting. Eager to absorb his new artifacts, he impatiently wonders when the next gate will appear and considers calling Kim Miso. Screech. He slams on the brakes as two thuggish men step out, blocking his path. He quickly apologizes for not seeing them. But the tattooed man asks if he's finally here. The man snatches his keys from the ignition, annoyed that he had to wait. The tattooed man leans in menacingly through the open window, demanding to know what Sang-yoon is doing here. The blonde man mocks Sang-yoon's confused expression, calling him an idiot. Sang-yoon's expression darkens, realizing he's in serious trouble. The tattooed man conjures a ball of fire, threatening to burn the car unless Sang-yoon gets out. He instantly recognizes them as Choi Yong-kil and Cho Seong-ko of the notorious Utopia Guild. Thumbnails reveal their reputation. Choi Yong-chul bullies weaker players, and his lackey Cho Seong-ko films it for YouTube. A mocked-up YouTube thumbnail shows Choi Yong-kil in a newbie dungeon video, questioning if he can carry the team. Sang-yoon recalls Choi Yong-chil's future, where the famous player and YouTuber eventually crosses a line and ends up in jail for his crimes. Whoosh! As Cho Seong-ko mocks the seemingly frozen Sang-yoon, Sang-yoon internally prepares his response. Choi Yong-kil and Cho Seong-ko laugh, amused by Sang-yoon's apparent defiance, as their Utopia Guild stats are displayed. Clutching his sword, Sang-yoon thinks how annoying it is to be found by these punks when he just wanted to test his new artifacts on worthy opponents. Choi Yong-kil asks, intrigued by Sang-yoon's unwavering stare. Holding a ball of fire, the tattooed man asks, "So what now?" as Sang-yoon stands his ground, sword in hand. Choi Yong-chul smugly declares himself the town's security force, claiming he's here because of complaints about Sang-yoon. With a sneer, he elaborates that the complaints were about some punk driving around in a shitty car. Bam! Choi Yong-chul kicks a massive dent into Sang-yoon's car, yelling that the other residents are pissed. Sang-yoon stares in shock and fury as Choi Yong-chul taunts him, asking if he understands the situation now. He threatens to destroy the car completely, telling Sang-yoon to grab his things and get out of town. A crowd gathers, recognizing Choi Yong-ko and Cho Seong-ko, and muttering that the bastards are bullying someone again. An onlooker recognizes Sang-yoon from the Player magazine, and as the one who went with Kim Miso, while Sang-yoon inspects the damage to his car. The crowd gasps as they finally put the pieces together, realizing the person being harassed is Shin Sang-yoon. Cho Seong-ko recalls the rumors that Sang-yoon, the kid who went with Kim Miso, cleared a level 100 quest by himself. Choi Yong-chul scoffs at the rumor, thinking Sang-yoon looks too weak to have done it alone. Cho Seong-ho agrees, reasoning that Kim Miso would never have let a newbie take all the glory for such a feat. He smirks, telling Choi Yong-kil he already has a great title for their next video, and praising his knack for creating drama. The tattooed man drapes his arm over Sang-yoon, condescendingly offering to show him some mercy. With his phone recording, Cho Seong-ko proposes a one-on-one sparring match in training mode. If Sang-yoon loses, he leaves town and stars in their video. Looking on as the stream goes live, Sang-yoon coolly proposes his own terms. If he wins, they stay away from him forever. Deal, Choi Yong-kil says with a confident smirk, praising Sang-yoon for being a real man. Sang-yoon's expression becomes a furious snarl, as he retorts that if they're scared, they should be the ones to get lost. Taken aback by the insult, Choi Yong-chul is momentarily speechless as his lackey shouts his name in alarm. Annoyed, Choi Yong-chul snaps at his partner, who frantically tells him to look at his phone. The livestream chat is exploding with bets and excitement, with users spamming, quote, 500 MIL and cheering on the fight. Fuck, Choi Yong-chul mutters, cornered by the live audience, and asks Sang-yoon one last time if he's scared. He realizes that because of the violence, the video won't even be monetized. Sang-yoon decides this is the perfect chance to relieve some pent-up stress. The scene shifts to a wide, modern plaza, the stage for the coming duel. At the Player Town building C Plaza, a crowd has formed around the three central figures. The crowd murmurs, recognizing Shin Sang-yoon and noting that the bullies are up to their usual antics with a newbie. Ding! Training mode is activated between Choi Yong-kil and Shin Sang-yoon, enveloping Sang-yoon in a purple glow. Surrounded by a fiery aura, Choi Young-kol declares that 500 million won and their wrists are on the line, promising not to back down. As Cho Seong-go displays the training mode rules, he warns Sang-yoon not to beg for mercy when he loses. Cho Seong-go confirms the training mode is set, and Sang-yoon lets out a weary sigh. Smirking, Choi Young-chol summons a fireball and announces that they're starting now, but stops short. His lackey cries out in alarm as they realize Sang-yoon has vanished, leaving a confused Choi Young-kil staring at empty space. In a flash of light, Sang-yoon's silhouette appears high above, sword raised for a devastating strike. Thud. He lands a powerful stomp on Choi Young-chul's shoulder, pinning him down. With eyes glowing an intense blue, Sang-yoon declares that even if his opponent begs, he will not be forgiven. Elsewhere, someone watches the live broadcast on a massive screen as Sang-yoon's mid-air attack unfolds. A woman with pink hair and green eyes stares at the screen in disbelief, a single bead of sweat rolling down her face. Sitting on her couch, she wonders what on earth is happening as she hears Sang-yoon's cold promise of no forgiveness. Her expression shifts from shock to intense curiosity. She recognizes Choi Young-chil of the Utopia Guild, a B-ranker known for his impunity, and questions why he is fighting Sang-yoon. A woman in workout gear with white and purple hair approaches from behind, addressing the pink-haired woman as sis. The white-haired woman looks on with a sharp, surprised expression. A status window reveals her identity, Shin Tae-ri of the Eden Guild, a level 700 S-rank player. Shin Tae-ri stares at the live broadcast, recognizing the man on screen. The pink-haired woman asks if that's Sang-yoon, the player Tae-ri wants to recruit, and Tae-ri confirms, wondering why he's on a live stream with scum. A confident, intrigued smile spreads across Shin Tae-ri's face. Back in the duel, a sweating Choi Young-kil yells, "Damn it!" Sang-yoon effortlessly sidesteps Choi Young-chol's lunge, leaving him swinging at air. Conjuring a fireball, Choi Young-chol declares he knows Sang-yoon is a liar. He lunges forward, screaming an insult as he unleashes a fiery slash. Sang-yoon remains calm and collected as the attack barrels toward him. Choi Young-kil looks on in disbelief, confused by Sang-yoon's inaction. Whoosh! Sang-yoon gracefully flips over the fiery explosion. Cho Seong-go watches in shock as his live stream chat explodes with confusion, asking how Sang-yoon pulled that off. A sinister smile crosses Sang-yoon's face as he relishes his body moving exactly as he commands. The scene flashes back to after the appraisal, where Sang-yoon thanks the appraiser for her help. The appraiser bashfully dismisses his thanks, while Sang-yoon looks on with a slightly confused expression. Dae-kyung generously invites the appraiser to join them for a meal on his dime, and she excitedly accepts. Sang-yoon awkwardly bows out, apologizing that he has somewhere else to be. Dae-kyung reacts with shock, asking if Sang-yoon is really leaving, and being assured it's nothing serious. Thinking he's upset about the deal, Dae-kyung frantically offers to give some of the money back. Sang-yoon apologizes again, explaining he already had other plans, and the disappointed Dae-kyung accepts his excuse. As Dae-kyung turns to invite the appraiser to go alone, she suddenly remembers an important event she must also attend. Sang-yoon clutches the shopping bag containing his new artifacts. The appraiser hastily runs off, as Dae-kyung and Sang-yoon watch her go. Finding a quiet spot, Sang-yoon sits on a park bench with his bag of artifacts. He lets out a long, satisfied sigh of relief. A system window calculates the absorption rate for the bronze equipment at 10% as the artifacts begin to glow. He gasps in shock as the actual rate is revealed to be 90%, and a tiny, winged goddess appears. The goddess of luck proudly takes credit for his blessing, noting he'd normally only get a fraction of the stats. He smiles, realizing how much of a difference starting with good equipment makes, while the goddess of luck smirks. He turns to the goddess of luck, telling her there's something he wants to ask. She asks if he has ever heard of a constellation known as the Late Bloomer Model Student. The goddess of luck pokes his nose, annoyed that he should be focusing on her, but he nervously insists that's not it. She turns away from him with a pouting expression. Sang-yoon explains that the other constellation means something important to him. He quickly apologizes for upsetting her and tells her to forget he asked. The goddess of luck graciously gives him permission to lift his head. Feeling generous, she declares she'll look up information on the constellation for him, making him pump his fists in excitement. Now settled, he focuses on a glowing bracelet from the bag. He smiles, feeling a surge of power as a bright blue aura envelops him. In a flash, he envisions a delicious-looking meal of tonkatsu. The vision continues with more tantalizing plates of Korean food. The glorious feast of sparkling, perfectly prepared dishes continues. With his hair now glowing white, he looks ecstatic at the feast before him, representing the power he's absorbing. Licking his lips, he thinks that even though an older guy used the artifacts, their power is still immense. Back in the present duel, his face-off title activates, isolating him and Choi Young-kil, though he finds the effect lackluster. Holding his massive sword, Sang-yoon stands confidently amid a swirling golden aura. His updated player info shows he's now level 27, with huge stat increases across the board. Choi Young-kil trembles as the livestream chat taunts him for shaking and looking exhausted already. Sang-yoon stares back, unimpressed by his opponent's state. Enraged, Choi Young-kil screams and unleashes a desperate, fiery attack. He charges forward, his body wreathed in a maelstrom of golden flames. Sang-yoon gracefully somersaults over Choi Young-kil's fiery barrage. While the pink-haired woman anxiously warns Sang-yoon to be careful, Shin-tae calmly tells her not to worry. With a confident smile, Shin-tae predicts that Sang-yoon will easily dodge the attack. Mid-air, Sang-yoon grins, hoping his body still remembers these moves. He lands perfectly as Choi Young-kil's last fire rings dissipate harmlessly. Sang-yoon flashes a wild, exhilarated grin, fully enjoying the fight. As the pink-haired woman watches, an exclamation of "Perfect!" fills the screen. Cho Seong-ko smirks, thrilled by the dramatic turn of events. Wreathed in a powerful blue aura, Sang-yoon prepares his counterattack. Choi Young-kil smirks confidently, undeterred by the display. From behind, he taunts his opponent, declaring the fight is his victory. Choi Young-kil flips a censored middle finger with a sneer, certain of his win. But as the two face off, Sang-yoon unleashes a swirling vortex of blue energy. Sang-yoon looks on in surprise as a crystalline substance begins to form around him. Shin-tae wonders if Sang-yoon can use magic other than pyromancy, thinking this new development might be his key to winning. The pink-haired woman laughs deviously, confusing a curious Tairi as she tells her to listen carefully. She slyly prompts Tairi to look closer and see the real reason she wanted to recruit him. But her explanation is cut short, as her expression turns to one of pure shock. She stares at the television, watching in disbelief as Sang-yoon is encased in a massive crystal formation. On screen, Sang-yoon is completely trapped in ice as she breathlessly asks his name. Staring at the giant crystal, a confused Choi Young-kil demands to know where his opponent disappeared to. He reasons that his skill should have worked. An escape should be impossible without a status-clearing ability. Inside the ice, a dark silhouette with glowing red eyes prepares to strike. Crack! Sang-yoon shatters the ice prison, bringing his sword down on a stunned Choi Young-kil. Peeking from behind his blade, Sang-yoon coolly asks his opponent, "What?" A system window reveals that training mode mitigated the fatal blow, and Sang-yoon taunts Choi Young-kil for being saved by the rules. Jo Seong-go shouts his partner's name in alarm as the live chat buzzes, speculating that Sang-yoon has a rare skill. Reading a viewer's comment, the blonde lackey realizes with a jolt that Sang-yoon's appearance has changed. Towering over his fallen foe with a menacing red aura, Sang-yoon seems like a different person. Cho Seong-go stares, bewildered, asking what on earth he just witnessed. Sang-yoon's eyes glow with cold, relentless power. Watching the broadcast, Shin-tae calmly identifies Sang-yoon's power-up as a type of awakening skill. The pink-haired woman questions this, and Tairi theorizes it's either transcendence or psychedelic, likely the latter. Tairi notes psychedelic causes severe exhaustion, smirking at Sang-yoon's confidence in ending the fight without taking a hit. The pink-haired woman nervously admits that he never used such a skill when she was with him. Tairi asks her if she grasps the skill's value, explaining there are two possibilities: he didn't need to use it, or the pink-haired woman turns, anxiously waiting for the other possibility. Shin-tae ponders with a serious, thoughtful expression. Or, she concludes, he can acquire rare skills rapidly, as the scene shifts to the appraiser at her desk. Looking at a document with a worried expression, the appraiser thinks the situation is bad. The document details the Crimson Meditation Bracelet, which possesses a hidden skill, psychedelic. A close-up highlights the psychedelic skill and its incredibly low chance of activation. The appraiser doubts that a hidden skill with such low odds could manifest, musing that it would require unbelievable luck, like being chosen by the goddess of luck herself, who is shown enjoying the fight with popcorn and 3D glasses. An info card details the psychedelic skill an awakening that grants immense power but causes exhaustion afterward. Sang-yoon stands transformed, a shadowy figure with a menacing grin and glowing red eyes. Ugchoi Yongchul lies defeated on the ground, staring up in terror as Sang-yoon looms over him. Sang-yoon coldly taunts his downed opponent, asking if he wants to turn off training mode for a real fight. Cursing his own arrogance, Choi Yong-kyul admits he underestimated Sang-yoon's strength. Deciding to get serious, he clashes with Sang-yoon again, shattering the ground beneath them. Blasted backward, Choi Yong-kyul realizes with dawning horror that Cho Seong-go completely misled him about his opponent's power. He grimaces in pure regret, thinking he never would have started this fight if he'd known how strong Sang-yoon really was. Ugh, yeah. The crowd, including Cho Seong-go, flinches from the aftershock as Choi Yong-kyul curses his opponent. Cho Seong-go stares at his phone, realizing with a grimace that his confident predictions were all just baseless bullshit. Wham! With glowing red eyes, Sang-yoon's silhouette looms over the terrified Choi Yong-chul. Pow! He brutally smashes Choi Yong-kyul's head into the fractured ground. As his eyes shift back to a cold blue, Sang-yoon recalls that training mode is supposed to prevent any fatal damage. You win, okay? A panicked Choi Yong-kyul screams, trying to shield his face and surrender. The menacing shadow of Sang-yoon looms over his defeated foe, declaring that it's now time for his revenge. Sang-yoon pauses, looking confused by his own declaration of revenge. He glares down at his opponent, remembering that all of this started because of him. The scene flashes back 3 days to a car center, where a mechanic regretfully informs someone their car is beyond saving. The mechanic explains to a shocked Sang-yoon that his beloved old car simply won't last much longer. That's impossible, Sang-yoon protests, but the mechanic gently insists he'll have to say his goodbyes soon. The mechanic adds that the car was lucky to have had him as an owner. Overcome with emotion, Sang-yoon weeps, remembering the happy memories he shared with his car. In his memory, the car's headlight glows as if wishing him happiness in the future. "This is revenge for my fricking car, you little crud," Sang-yoon roars, his face contorted with rage. "I'm sorry," a crying Choi Yong-kyul begs, desperately apologizing for his actions. Splat! The crowd recoils in shock, splattered by a colorful, sparkly substance as they scream in confusion. Sang-yoon stands calmly, his fist emitting a bubbling, rainbow-colored aura. Sizzle! His attack leaves Choi Yong-chul's pants covered in sparkling, cartoonish poops and unicorns. Lying defeated in a crater, a weeping Choi Yong-chul can only whimper, "I'm sorry." The crowd holds their noses as Cho Seong-go comments on the terrible smell, wondering what his partner ate. Cho Seong-go panics, realizing they've messed with the wrong person, and his streaming channel is the least of his problems. A man in a suit startles Cho Seong-go by calling his name. The man, whose ID badge identifies him as Moon Baek-yoon, bluntly informs Cho Seong-go that he's screwed up big time. With a nervous gulp, Moon Baek-yoon internally apologizes for the situation. Surveying the scene, he notes Sang-yoon's victory is intriguing and decides he must assess his skills personally. Moon Baek-yoon calls out to Mr. Shin Sang-yoon, who turns with a quizzical expression. He approaches the victor, asking if he happens to have some time. Sang-yoon calmly demands to know the man's name and who he works for. Moon Baek-yoon is momentarily stunned by what he perceives as an arrogant attitude. He quickly reassesses, realizing it's not arrogance but the deep confidence of a player whose experience and abilities far exceed his level. Bowing deeply, the man formally introduces himself as Moon Baek-yoon, a regional manager for the Utopia Guild, and Sang-yoon just watches. Moon Baek-yoon's resolve hardens. He must do whatever it takes to scout this incredible player. He pulls out his phone, promising the Utopia Guild will cover all damages in an attempt to build a positive relationship. Sang-yoon shows his own phone with an account number, stating that 500 million isn't nearly enough for the mental trauma he suffered. He coolly demands 2 billion won, leaving Moon Baek-yoon speechless. From the crater, a tearful Choi Yong-chul weakly asks if they can pay in installments. Later, a voice outside Sang-yoon's door furiously questions him about deals with Utopia, Kim Miso, and the Eden Guild. Annoyed, Sang-yoon tells the person to leave, declaring he has nothing to say. He opens the door to a mob of reporters demanding he stop avoiding them and tell them the whole truth. Huffing in exhaustion, he slams the door, wondering if his dating life is also part of their right to know. He walks away, deciding he has enough to worry about without adding dating to the list. A smile crosses his face as he decides it's time to start getting ready. He looks over his new clothes and equipment, laid out neatly on his bed. Sang-yoon stands before his new gear, ready to prepare for his next challenge. Sitting cross-legged, he muses that the gate raid Kim Miso suggested has finally arrived. He feels a surge of confidence, bolstered by his recent progress and the extra artifacts he acquired. Sang-yoon reviews his leveled-up skills, noting Demon Bash and Dual Wielding have improved, and calculates his title's power boost. Skill cards detail Demon Bash, a hidden skill that hinders targets, and Dual Wielding Training, a passive boosting his adaptability with blades. He eagerly swipes through his new skill windows, ready to assess the results of his intense training efforts. New info cards show blade wielding training for smaller swords and full charging, a powerful but restrictive movement skill. With a smug smile, Sang-yoon feels confident that his new movement skill and backup plans are enough for the gate raid. He reflects on the last battle, admitting he had many weaknesses and couldn't perform as well as his past self. A flashback of him fighting a vicious beast contrasts with his present determination to overcome his past limitations. He gets chills, realizing that if his previous opponents had been just a little stronger, he would have been in serious trouble. Remembering a desperate battle, he steels his resolve, knowing he needs to lock in and focus completely. He worries that despite all his progress, if things continue this way, he will only repeat his past failures. He dreads that he is on the same path that leads to the second breakdown, a cataclysmic event in the year 2040. A grim vision shows him holding a fallen ally amidst a field of slaughtered monsters, a future he desperately wants to prevent. His face hardens with intense resolve as he declares his need to become overwhelmingly stronger. He vows to become as strong as that guy, remembering a powerful figure from his past. He recalls the moment a mysterious, armored female warrior saved him when he was just a helpless child. Ring, ring. Back in the present, his train of thought is broken by his ringing phone, and he wonders who is calling. He answers the call, shocked to hear the person on the other end introduce himself as reporter Park Jong-min. The reporter cheerfully reminds him of their interview scheduled for today, and Sang-yoon freezes in panic, realizing he is completely screwed. Panicking, Sang-yoon frantically confirms he'll be there, realizing with horror that he completely forgot about the appointment at the cafe. He anxiously checks his schedule, remembering the gate raid is at 7 p.m. and the interview is supposed to be at 2 p.m. His panicked face is reflected on his phone screen as he sees the current time is 1:45 p.m. Oh. At a cafe, reporter Park Jong-min and his crew wait, preparing to ask Sang-yoon about his relationship with Kim Miso. A portal of red energy bursts open, and an intimidating, dual-wielding Sang-yoon appears, startling the reporter. With glowing blue eyes and a furious expression, Sang-yoon screams for everyone to get out of his way. Later, reporter Park Jong-min sits alone at the cafe, patiently waiting and checking his phone. His phone buzzes, and he answers, startled by what he hears on the other end. The reporter spots Sang-yoon arriving amidst a dark aura and calls out, telling him he's already ordered coffee. Terrified by Sang-yoon's menacing presence, the reporter nervously gestures for him to please take a seat. Still panting from his rush, Sang-yoon grins at the reporter, finding him interesting as a nearby waitress shrinks in fear. The reporter asks if he just came from a dungeon, but Sang-yoon jokes that getting through traffic was a tougher battle. Taking a seat, Sang-yoon apologizes for being late, while the reporter nervously insists it's fine. The interview starts with the reporter asking about recent events, which Sang-yoon tries to brush off as minor incidents. The reporter presses on, emphasizing that Sang-yoon has become the center of attention for all players. Sang-yoon sips his iced coffee, listening as the reporter brings up the new ranking system, where levels don't matter as much. Dismissing Sang-yoon's modesty, the reporter asks if he's aware of the countless guilds trying to recruit him. Sang-yoon smirks, assuming the reporter wants to ask about the Eden Guild. The reporter clarifies he means foreign guilds, which surprises Sang-yoon, who had no idea. Through images of shattered glass, the reporter reveals that a total of 5 powerful foreign guilds are interested. With a confident glint in his glasses, the reporter reveals the guilds have officially requested to scout him through the Korean Player Association. Sang-yoon looks concerned as the reporter explains foreign guilds are known for aggressively scouting promising players early on. The scene shifts to the back alleys of Chunui Station, the designated location for the gate's appearance. Walking to the site, Sang-yoon mulls over his plan to be a one-man guild, now complicated by offers from powerful foreign entities. Kim Miso excitedly runs toward him, calling his name and waving him over. Sang-yoon looks confused, noting they still have time before the gate appears. He sees Kim Miso is accompanied by the white-haired woman Shin Tae-ri, who watches him approach. The three of them meet under a streetlight in a quiet alley. Kim Miso explains that she brought her sister along, as she was eager to meet him before the raid. She formally introduces the white-haired woman as her sister, Shin Tae-ri. Shin Tae-ri suggests they talk at a nearby cafe while they wait. Shin Tae-ri offers a handshake, introducing herself, and Sang-yoon accepts, introducing himself as Shin Sang-yoon. Sang-yoon thinks to himself that he would have recognized the famous woman even without Kim Miso's introduction. A title card reveals she is Shin Tae-ri, the Shadow Assassin, one of Korea's greatest and most popular players. A dazzling magical portrait shows Shin Tae-ri ready for battle. Sang-yoon internally notes his good luck meeting so many ranked players after his regression, as Shin Tae-ri asks if he can do her a favor. Surprised by the sudden request from the famous Shin Tae-ri, Sang-yoon cautiously agrees to help if he can. Shin Tae-ri smirks, asking if he's up for a fight. Kim Miso chides her sister for asking such a favor from a stranger, but Shin Tae-ri says she already told her the plan. A flashback shows Kim Miso telling Shin Tae-ri they need to recruit Sang-yoon, and Shin Tae-ri deciding to test his worth herself. Kim Miso apologetically explains to Sang-yoon that her sister just likes to challenge people for fun. To both sisters' astonishment, Sang-yoon calmly replies that he honestly doesn't mind at all. A confident smirk spreads across Sang-yoon's face as he asks if they should get right to it. He formally accepts the challenge, declaring it an honor, much to Shin Tae-ri's delight and Kim Miso's dismay. Shin Tae-ri compliments Kim Miso's eye for talent and apologizes for her unprofessional approach. She proposes they trade 5 moves, her hand crackling with blue energy as Sang-yoon watches, startled. Though he knows he doesn't stand a chance, Sang-yoon sees this as a perfect opportunity to gauge his own growth. Shin Tae-ri's form shifts into a shadowy silhouette with glowing eyes, radiating immense power. Sang-yoon is taken aback, realizing her aura has become completely different and far more intense. Readying his massive sword, Sang-yoon tells her to stop wasting time. A system notification announces that his psychedelic skill has activated, and his eyes glow an intense blue. Kim Miso watches in a panic, utterly bewildered by the sudden turn of events. Shin Tae-ri steps forward with her blades, ready to begin their duel. A swirling vortex of dark blue energy erupts from her position. Sang-yoon focuses with grim determination, sensing the immense power difference. He grips his sword, realizing his current physical capabilities are not enough. The two warriors clash in a brilliant explosion of energy and crossed blades. Wah! With glowing eyes, Sang-yoon pushes himself to his absolute limit, determined to predict her every move. Shin Tae-ri smirks with surprise, impressed by his reaction. He barely manages to parry her lightning-fast strike. Shin Tae-ri gracefully leaps over a stunned Sang-yoon after her initial attack. Kim Miso falls to the ground in shock from the force of their clash. Grinning fiercely, Shin Tae-ri reminds him she has 4 more moves left. She unleashes a barrage of light-speed attacks, overwhelming him. Gulp. Sang-yoon realizes she's a monster whose speed is still increasing. He decides to abandon his sight and fight blindfolded by his own hand. He will trust his instincts alone to read her movements. Kim Miso watches, puzzled, as he stands still. She thinks he must be crazy to close his eyes against her sister, given their massive power gap. A strange energy surrounds Sang-yoon as his hair turns pure white. Kim Miso wonders if this is just a completely stupid tactic. With eyes closed, Sang-yoon calmly senses an incoming strike. He perfectly blocks her second attack, leaving a surprised Shin Tae-ri unable to believe he managed it. She remarks that most swordsmen could never achieve his level of focus, because, she continues, they wouldn't have the experience to back it up, making Sang-yoon realize she knows his secret. Stunned, speechless by her insight, he watches as she zips past him after another blocked attack. Shin Tae-ri grins, announcing that there are 3 moves left. Sang-yoon prepares for her next move, but she stops, asking what he's doing. Shin Tae-ri looks on, confused by his sudden change in demeanor. He admits he's being arrogant, but feels he can't waste this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. With fierce determination, he requests just one last strike. He's being honest, he thinks. If he doesn't experience her true power now, the question will haunt him forever. Kim Miso frantically begs her sister not to listen, but Shin Tae-ri coolly agrees to Sang-yoon's request. Shin Tae-ri clarifies she can't go all out without training mode, but promises to show him her full speed. Sang-yoon grins, confident that facing Shintari at her fastest is more than enough for him. With a determined, "Now then," Shintari crouches low, blades at the ready. She shouts, "Here I go!" as she explodes into motion. A terrifyingly intense close-up of her glowing eyes precedes a single thought from Sang-yoon. "I die." He realizes with dawning horror that he has no time to prepare for her incredible speed. He thinks he should already be ready as he scrambles to defend himself. He realizes that merely swinging his blade will not be enough. Sang-yoon anticipates her attack, bracing for the impact. He knows he has to react before she reaches him. Shintari suddenly looks up, her expression changing as she spots him. Looking down in disbelief, Sang-yoon can only say, "Oh." She flashes past him in a shadowy blur, leaving him stunned and bewildered. He looks up in shock, wondering what just happened. Wham! Ugh. She strikes him in the face with the hilt of her blade. A stunned Shintari watches as Kim Miso cries out Sang-yoon's name in alarm. Smoke rising from the point of impact, Sang-yoon insists that he's fine. He sits up, clutching his throbbing head and wondering if his nose is broken. A hand reaches for his face, and he flinches in surprise. Shintari apologizes for using a skill out of reflex and asks if he's okay. Blushing, Sang-yoon bashfully asks for a rematch next time. Shintari smiles, clearly intrigued by his proposition. She laughs and agrees, and he asks for a call later, much to Kim Miso's disbelief. Sang-yoon points out they're cutting it close to the raid time. Kim Miso sternly scolds her sister for creating such a dangerous situation, and a chastened Shintari apologizes. Waving goodbye, Shintari wishes Kim Miso luck and tells her to get home safe. Sang-yoon grimly accepts his first loss since regressing, knowing he never stood a chance if she'd gone all out. Watching her leave, he realizes she has become another goal for him to surpass. Shintari glances back with a knowing smile. Sang-yoon interprets her look as a challenge to try as much as you want. At Chunui Station, a massive, swirling pink gate has appeared, designated Unidentified Gate number 727. Kim Miso claps her hands, happily suggesting they begin with introductions. A nervous, light blue-haired girl and a tall, armored man greet them. Sang-yoon introduces himself, and the armored man expresses his excitement to meet the famous Wonder Boy. The armored man formally introduces himself as Park Tae-sok. A status card reveals Park Tae-sok is a level 120 A-rank mage player specializing in the Ignite skill. Sang-yoon asks if Ignite is pyromancy, and Park Tae-sok confirms it's similar to the magic Choi Young-chol used. Park Tae-sok demonstrates his power by conjuring a towering pillar of brilliant blue flame. He explains that since he focused his training on conjuring, his flames are far stronger than his rivals. He humbly adds that he's still only at the blue flame stage and has a long way to go. Sang-yoon reassures him he's reliable, thinking that concentrating on one skill is a wise strategy. He reflects that defeating Choi Young-chol was easy for a specific reason. It was because, unlike Park Tae-sok, Choi Young-chol hadn't focused on a single skill, leaving him weaker overall. Kim Miso introduces the shy girl next, and Sang-yoon turns to her with a questioning look. The light blue-haired girl nervously confirms what Kim Miso said. As she, Juhi, begins to display her power, Kim Miso tries to stop her. Kya! A blast of green energy hits Kim Miso, and Sang-yoon curses in frustration. Juhi apologizes profusely while Sang-yoon notes the strange winds are unlike any space wielder's power he's seen. The world distorts through a lens of swirling green energy as Juhi activates her power. Sang-yoon is taken aback, surprised by the unusual nature of her ability. Flustered, Juhi formally introduces her strange spatial ability as Sang-yoon watches with a concerned expression. As Kim Miso tells her to stop, Juhi awkwardly tries to greet Sang-yoon and wish for good teamwork. Sang-yoon smiles, thinking that he knew he could trust Kim Miso to assemble the perfect team. A vision of their potential shows the four fighting in perfect sync against a horde of monsters in a forest. Sang-yoon realizes the most important part of this new team is something special. He observes that their team chemistry is already amazing as they naturally begin discussing strategy. He remembers his past, where a former teammate mocked him as a scaredy cat. Lost in thought, Sang-yoon quietly reflects on how much has changed since then. Kim Miso notices his silence and concernedly asks if he is okay. She wonders aloud if he got injured during the fight with her sister. Snapping out of it, Sang-yin reassures her he's fine and was just thinking, deciding to push the memories aside. With renewed focus, he suggests they go ahead and enter the gate. The party stands ready, silhouetted by the gate's brilliant pink energy as they prepare to enter. They emerge into a harsh, windswept mountain range, the location of the unidentified gate Frost Hell. The four adventurers trek through the deep, desolate snow. Sang-yoon turns and thanks a confused Park Tae-seok for something. He smiles as a warm glow envelops the party. A system window reveals Park Tae-seok's skill, Blessing of Flames, which grants cold resistance. The others thank Park Tae-seok, relieved, as Kim Miso comments on the unexpectedly harsh weather. Kim Miso notices Sung-yoon's second sword, asking why he didn't use it in their last raid together. He explains he got it for mobility, and she asks if he's skilled with various weapons. Sung-yoon awkwardly deflects, realizing it's getting harder to explain his unique abilities. Kim Miso turns and calls out to Juhi, just as trouble appears. A hulking, blue-skinned frost giant emerges from behind a snow-covered tree. Sang-yoon and Kim Miso instantly assume battle stances, ready for the fight. Juhi unleashes a powerful blast of concussive green energy. Grah! The monster reels back from the force of her attack. Her spell hits with explosive impact, shattering the ground around the giant. Sang-yoon and Kim Miso leap high into the air to coordinate a pincer attack. Mid-flight, Kim Miso looks to Sang-yoon, telling him she's awaiting his orders. With a confident grin, Sang-yoon yells for her to watch his back. The monster groans, and Sang-yoon is startled by an unexpected development. Go. The giant roars as the two warriors dive towards it. Kim Miso calls out for their fire support, shouting, "Tae-seok!" Tae-seok grins and replies, "On it!" as he summons a powerful orb of blue flame. He launches a massive beam of fire directly at the monster. Ugh. The frost giant cries out as the fiery blast engulfs it. Sang-yoon follows up immediately, bringing his massive sword down on the beast. His blade connects, sending a spray of purple blood into the air. With glowing eyes, Sang-yoon fiercely commands, "Kang Juhi!" Juhi confidently unleashes another massive blast of her power. The monster howls in its final moments of agony. Sang-yoon lands with grim focus, the battle seemingly won. The giant shatters into frozen fragments from the combined assault. Sang-yoon's secondary sword stands planted in the snowy ground, glowing ominously. However, the shattered pieces reform into a grinning, more powerful-looking frost giant. The reborn monster taunts them, mockingly asking if they thought they had won. Guo. Without hesitation, Sang-yoon charges forward to meet the revived threat head-on. Park Tae-seok yells for a nervous Juhi to prepare another attack. Guo. The monster roars as it activates its Demon Bash skill. A confident, almost crazed grin spreads across Sang-yoon's face. He leaps through the air, cleanly decapitating the giant with a single slash. He lands beside Juhi, both of them watching the aftermath. The two stare in confusion, baffled by what happens next. Sang-yoon lands lightly on the ground, commenting that the fight was exhausting. He looks back, wondering what just happened as he tries to process the event. A flustered Park Tae-seok apologizes for his and Juhi's stunned reaction. Kim Miso quickly explains their surprise is understandable, reminding him she warned them he was full of surprises. She admits she had the same reaction at first, and doubts this is the last of his tricks. Sang-yoon laughs awkwardly, internally complaining about the pressure she's putting on him to perform. The team marvels at their fantastic teamwork, with Park Tae-seok and Juhi impressed by the skill of experienced players. Slinging his sword over his shoulder, Sang-yoon smiles, saying he has a good feeling about this. He proposes a round 2 as a massive horde of monsters emerges from the woods. The four party members stand resolute, facing the approaching army. In the aftermath, the snowy ground is stained purple with the remains of the defeated monsters. An ecstatic Park Tae-seok declares Sang-yoon is the best swordsman he's ever worked with. As Sang-yoon awkwardly accepts the compliment, Kim Miso thanks him for making their teammates so happy. She explains that Tae-seok rarely gets to unleash his pyromancy, so he's grateful for the opportunity Sang-yoon provided. Sang-yoon realizes this is the plight of most mages, who need a dependable frontline to use their offensive skills. Internally, however, he thinks Park Tae-seok's over-the-top praise is a bit much. While Kim Miso asks about a skill he used, an adoring Park Tae-seok begs to team up with him again. Kim Miso smiles, remarking that he always manages to surprise her. Suddenly, A massive explosion erupts in the nearby forest. Woo! A terrifying, shadowy beast roars, its sudden appearance startling the party. Kim Miso stares in alarm, instantly recognizing the new threat. Her expression hardens with focus as she immediately draws her bow. She shouts a warning that an armored demon ogre is approaching from the front. Park Tae-seok agrees, saying they must focus their firepower on the new enemy. Kim Miso suggests creating some distance first and turns to call on Joo-hee for help. Sang-yoon interrupts with a bold plan, asking a surprised Joo-hee to open a portal directly in front of him. Kim Miso shouts a frantic warning that this particular monster specializes in defense. Deciding to trust him anyway, Kim Miso orders Joo-hee to open the portal, which she immediately does. Sang-yoon dives headfirst into the swirling green rift without a moment of hesitation. A system window details his full charging movement skill, a high-risk, high-reward attack, Kia. The ogre smashes the ground where they were standing, sending his teammates flying. In the crater, Joo-hee's portal swirls open right at the monster's feet. Sang-yoon emerges from above, diving down through the portal's vortex. Gra! He bursts out of the portal on the ground, charging directly at the roaring ogre. Park Tae-seok and Kim Miso can only stare in stunned disbelief at his incredible maneuver. A feral grin spreads across Sang-yoon's face as he rapidly closes the distance. He explains to his awestruck team that their reliable support allows him to use his skills more aggressively. Shh! Joo-hee suddenly raises a finger to her lips, silencing the group with a tense expression. The party peeks over a rocky outcropping as she whispers that she thinks they've arrived at their destination. Below them, in a vast, ruined courtyard, lies a sleeping, three-headed wolf wreathed in blue flames. A system window identifies the sleeping beast as the middle boss, Cerberus of the Frost Hell. Joo-hee suggests they plan their next move, offering to open a portal since they lack information. Sang-yoon gives a wicked smile, suggesting he start by raining fire on it and thinking that it's finally time. He grins with unnerving glee as a purple, winged orb of demonic energy materializes above him. A system window details Sang-yoon's passive skill, the Age of the Night and Wolves, which boosts regeneration and incapacitates wolf-like monsters under a full moon. While Kim Miso suggests a plan, Sang-yoon interrupts, stepping forward with his sword drawn. A confused Kim Miso calls out his name, wondering what he's doing. Sang-yoon simply flashes a confident, knowing smile, ready to act. Both Kim Miso and Park Tae-seok look worried as she recognizes his "that face again" expression and questions if it's wise to trust him. Sang-yoon boldly tells his stunned teammates to just stay back and watch him. Under the full moon, he explains that he doesn't have time to go into the details. The narration explains that the moon must be in full view for his skill to work. Even a small cloud would have the effect. Apologizing to his team internally, Sang-yoon dashes forward alone as they shout his name in alarm. He lands before the massive three-headed Cerberus, which stares down at him with a glowing eye. Thinking it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission, he cheekily calls out, "Hey, VRRRR." The three-headed beast snarls as Sang-yoon observes that it's not as cute up close. As his teammates prepare to give him cover fire, Kim Miso frantically tells them to wait. Watching from a distance, Park Tae-seok wonders aloud why the Cerberus isn't reacting to Sang-yoon's presence. Kim Miso agrees, recalling how it attacked them instantly during their research and questioning if it's merely on guard now. VRRRR. The monstrous Cerberus continues to growl and snarl, baring its flaming fangs. Park Tae-seok grows anxious, insisting he's misunderstanding something and that they need to help Sang-yoon. With dawning realization, Kim Miso notices that the beast doesn't actually look like it's trying to attack. She watches in awe as Cerberus bows its heads, realizing it's willing to obey him. A system message confirms her observation. Cerberus of the Frost Hell recognizes Sang-yoon as a higher-ranked being. Another notification announces that Cerberus will soon enter total obedience, much to Sang-yoon's surprise. Sang-yoon marvels at how easy it was before his expression hardens, deciding to end things quickly. A system window announces his victory. Congratulations! You have defeated the middle boss, Cerberus of the Frost Hell, standing over the beast's fading body. Sang-yoon admits it felt wrong, killing something willing to obey but knew it was necessary to proceed. He receives a notification for a new title, Reduction, which allows him to cut a chosen skill's cooldown in half. He smiles, realizing the new title is perfect for his recovery skill, and selects it on the system window. A skill description shows his recovery cooldown has been reduced from 60 seconds to 30. Kim Miso calls out, telling Sang-yoon to wait as the party regroups with him. He turns to her with a questioning look, asking if something is wrong. He gasps in shock as a brilliant, multifaceted blue gem, the boss drop, materializes before him. Sang-yoon panics internally, realizing that as a solo player, he never thought to tell his team about his unique absorption skill. He stares at Kim Miso, desperately hoping she doesn't demand ownership of the rare item. To his astonishment, she tells him that since he defeated Cerberus alone, he can take it. Sang-yoon breathes a sigh of relief and thanks her, but she questions his reaction and asks if he's already cleared it with the others. The rest of the team cheerfully agrees, saying they didn't do anything, and Kim Miso asks if he's fine with that arrangement. He laughs gratefully, thinking he needs to find a way to use his skills discreetly, chalking it up to old solo habits. Kim Miso tells him the team will leave so he can do his thing. Confused, he asks what she means, and she prods him, asking if there isn't something he needs to do with new artifacts. He stares in wide-eyed shock, realizing she knows something. With a knowing smile, Kim Miso admits she's known his secret for a long time. She begins to recall a time after they cleared a previous quest area. She remembers being about to leave him behind. Wondering what he was doing by himself, she had turned around for a look. Looking him in the eye, she finishes, and that's when I learned your secret. Mortified, Sang-yoon laments that his unique skill, his lifeline as a player, has been exposed. Kim Miso dramatically recalls seeing him performing what she calls a sort of ritual with an item. With a triumphant finger point, she makes her grand declaration. She explains that some players have odd rituals and tells him not to worry, admitting she'd hide a secret like that too, leaving Sang-yoon utterly bewildered. As Juhi asks about the ritual, Kim Miso tells her to give Sang-yoon some privacy, while he stands by awkwardly. Sang-yoon realizes there's a huge misunderstanding, but he's relieved, thinking that this is much better than his actual secret getting out. Deciding to absorb the artifact, Sang-yoon declares with a hungry look that it's time to eat. A system window identifies the item as Heart of Ice, a gold artifact that boosts evasion and defense. The scene transitions, showing the party has moved onward through the desolate, snowy mountains. With intense focus, Juhi unleashes a final, powerful blast of green energy. Kim Miso and Park Tae-seok congratulate an exhausted Juhi, telling her it's all thanks to her. Sang-yoon agrees it was all Juhi, who looks back at him thoughtfully. Juhi nervously asks Sang-yoon if their plan is really okay, admitting she's worried, even though she did as he asked. A pile of defeated ogre-like monsters lies on the ground, the result of their battle. Park Tae-seok asks if the boss will really come to eat the corpses they've piled up as bait. Sang-yoon confidently assures him the boss will do anything for food, prompting Juhi to ask how he knows that. Dodging the question, Sang-yoon urgently orders Tae-seok to set the bait on fire to lure the boss monster. Kim Miso notes internally that Sang-yoon skillfully dodged the question. In the distance, the pile of corpses burns brightly, acting as a beacon in the snowy darkness. The party waits patiently by a rock formation, watching for the boss to appear. After 20 minutes, Park Tae-seok grows anxious, but a sweating Sang-yoon insists the monster is about to arrive. Grrr. Sang-yoon's eyes widen as he senses the approach of a monstrous foe. A massive, bear-like beast emerges from the shadows as Sang-yoon announces its arrival. With a predatory grin, Sang-yoon and the team prepare to face the new boss. The colossal beast looms over Sang-yoon and Park Tae-seok, ready to attack. Kim Miso reflects that while Sang-yoon has led them to success so far, she still feels a sense of unease. She watches with apprehension as Sang-yoon prepares to confront the massive boss alone. Grrr. The shadowy beast bares its fangs, its red eyes glowing with feral intensity. Sang-yoon stands his ground, undaunted by the monster's immense size and sharp claws. He braces himself, his expression a mixture of determination and anticipation. Pushed to his limit, Sang-yoon wonders if this dangerous fight is finally the one that will kill him for real. A flashback begins, showing the team gathered in the snow a few minutes earlier. In the past, Kim Miso questions Sang-yoon's plan, and he asks if he wasn't clear enough. She demands to know why he must be the bait, but he calmly insists there is no other choice. Sang-yoon explains the boss has an ability that activates when its health is low. When its health drops, it enters a gluttony state, seeking food, He continues that in this state, the monster becomes far more violent and will devour everything. This is why they stacked the ogre corpses, to divert its hunger, before he suggests a new tactic. He proposes a plan to poison the monster's food, weakening it when it starts to eat. As the team gathers supplies, Sang-yoon privately grumbles about having to carry the most juniper wood. He explains they prepared the wood for its sedative effect, but there's a problem with the plan. The team realizes they first have to lower the monster's health enough to trigger its gluttony state. A worried Park Tae-seok listens as Sang-yoon declares he will create the perfect opportunity for them to attack. Back in the past, Sang-yoon smiles confidently, stating that acting as the bait is his job. The flashback ends as Sang-yoon desperately dodges a devastating attack in the present. He grimly thinks to himself that he's one step away from death. Battered and bleeding, he frustratedly wonders if he's grown stronger at all. He laments underestimating the boss's power as it lunges at him again. Keok. He barely blocks a heavy blow, shocked by the creature's overwhelming strength. The impact shatters the ground as he wonders if his strength stat is still too low. Realizing he's about to die, Sang-yoon resolves that he must dodge every single attack from now on. He leaps high into the air, narrowly evading a powerful swipe from the beast. With impressive agility, he glides past the monster's snapping jaws. The creature's attack slams into the empty space where Sang-yoon just stood. He lands nimbly, momentarily safe from the beast's rampage. Grrr! The monster glares with its glowing red eye, enraged by his successful dodge. Sang-yoon grits his teeth, stunned by the monster's incredible reaction speed. He scrambles along the beast's back, barely staying ahead of its snapping jaws. Just in time, a volley of arrows from Kim Miso strikes the creature's head. Grah! The beast roars in pain, momentarily distracted by the assault. From her vantage point on a high cliff, Kim Miso provides covering fire. She shouts at Sang-hyun, telling him that now is his chance to attack. He smiles, internally thanking Kim Miso for the life-saving intervention. Flipping through the air, he acknowledges that he only survived thanks to her. The monster's enraged red eye locks onto him with furious intent. A system window announces the activation of his full charging skill. He unleashes the skill, striking the beast's head with a powerful, glowing blow. The impact shatters the ground as Sang-yoon lands, his attack finding its mark. A notification confirms his attack has frozen the grizzly big bear for 1 second. He celebrates internally, realizing the freezing effect from the Heart of Ice successfully, combined with his charge skill, despite the boss's resistance. Facing the immobilized monster, Sang-yoon prepares to press his advantage. He wastes no time, slashing deep into the frozen beast's neck. A notification announces the activation of his Demon Bash skill, staggering the monster. From her perch, Kim Miso calls out to Park Tae-seok, who confirms he is ready. Park Tae-seok gathers his power, becoming wreathed in a vortex of blue flames. With a mighty roar, he unleashes his spell as Sang-yoon watches in awe. His blue flame flamingo skill engulfs the massive bear in a torrent of fire. The intense flames blast the grizzly big bear, sending it reeling backward. Rah! The beast roars as the fiery explosion rips through the terrain. Sang-yoon stands amid the destruction, shocked that its firepower exceeded his expectations. He believes the powerful attack should have been enough to trigger the next phase. A close-up on the monster's bloody maw confirms his thoughts. They've lowered its health just enough. The beast eye transforms as a notification announces its energy is changing. Grah! The monster lets out a furious roar, its fangs dripping with blood. Sang-yoon smiles, relieved that the damage was sufficient to execute their plan. A system window confirms the grizzly big bear has entered its gluttony state, just as he predicted. A concerned Kim Miso calls out his name, sensing the shift in the battle. A notification warns that the enraged beast will now attempt to devour everything in its path. Grax, the bear's body begins to warp, transforming into a more monstrous form. Its shadowy, transformed shape looms over Sang-yoon, drooling with hunger. He gulps, wondering what happened to the cuddly bear, and thinking it's now up to Juhi as he prepares to hold out. Park Tae-seok watches in horror, remarking that its gluttony state has turned it into a different monster entirely. Kim Miso rushes to Tae-seok's side, urgently asking about Juhi's status. He looks to the cliff top, reporting that Juhi seems to still be preparing her spell. High above, Juhi calmly stands at the center of a massive, swirling vortex of green energy. Mumbling an incantation, she focuses intensely on completing her spell. Kim Miso anxiously asks if Juhi will make it in time, but Park Tae-sok says they have a more immediate problem. Ooh-ah! Sang-yoon cries out as he dives away from a crushing blow that shatters the ground. He runs for his life, realizing that this time he might actually die. His eye widens in pure terror as he looks back at the approaching threat. The shadowy beast closes in, its burning, spiral eyes fixed on him. He screams as the monster's massive, shadowy claw descends upon him. Trapped, he realizes he can't possibly dodge the incoming attack. With his eye glowing, he grits his teeth and resolves to break through head-on. A system notification announces the activation of his skill, Psychedelic. High on the cliff, Juhi completes her spell, standing at the eye of the swirling green portal. With a trickle of blood on her lip, Juhi declares that her preparations are complete. The shadowy beast lunges, its maw wide open as it closes in for the kill. Bracing himself, Sang-yoon prepares to meet the monster's devastating attack head-on. From above, a massive vortex of green energy, Juhi's spell, descends upon the beast. The spell envelops the monster, transforming into a cage of shimmering geometric light. Having spent all her mana, Juhi collapses as Kim Miso and Park Tae-sok rush to her side in alarm. From a safe distance, Sang-yoon exhales in relief, admitting that the fight was far too dangerous. He watches the now restrained monster, realizing that if Juhi's spell had failed, he would have been devoured. Trapped and broken within the magical bindings, the beast writhes as Sang-yoon thinks it might have eaten him. He laughs nervously, sweat dripping down his face after his close brush with death. Kim Miso and Park Tae-sok celebrate, hugging a dizzy Juhi and telling her she was the best. Grr. The grizzly big bear snarls defiantly, its glowing spiral eyes filled with rage. Grr. Bleeding and bound, the monster struggles furiously against the magical restraints. Thrashing in a panic, the beast desperately tries to break free from the glowing tendrils. GHK. The beast chokes as its life fades, and a notification confirms the defeat of the final boss, the grizzly big bear. As the monster's body shatters, a system window announces they have successfully cleared the Frost Hellgate. Kim Miso thanks Sang-yoon, apologizing for relying on him so much, but he reassures her it was his plan. The notification announces a substantial level up, but Sang-yoon sweats, admitting the dungeon was too dangerous and he nearly died multiple times. Juhi apologizes from within her recovery aura for not helping more, but her teammates assure her she did great work. Sang-yoon thanks Juhi for trusting his reckless plan, and she says it was a good chance to test her limits. He smiles, hoping to work with them again and internally expressing his gratitude for their trust in his wild ideas. He reflects that he would have forced them to come anyway, as a massive gate looms in his mind's eye. He recalls past raids that always ended tragically, with medics rushing to treat fallen comrades. Even gates with a high survival rate were deadly, as he remembers a wounded teammate being helped away. He flashes back to the desperate cries for help and his own grim expression amidst the chaos. He muses that the 10% chance of death always found his party, recalling a woman weeping over a fallen friend. He once considered it mere coincidence that he was always spared from that fate. A profound thought surfaces. The job of a hero is always done in the face of death. Standing alone, Sang-yoon reflects that while growing stronger is vital, he now has another goal. His new goal is to avoid needless deaths, a resolution he makes as Juhi recovers from her exhaustion. Sang-yoon suggests they check their rewards, and the team turns with anticipation. A glowing pink portal materializes, and a system message announces the appearance of the first clear bonus. Sang-yoon gulps, explaining that they will each receive a fitting reward for reaching into the portal. An ethereal hand emerges from the glowing portal and gently takes his. A beautiful, purple-haired, elf-like woman materializes before a stunned Sang-yoon, holding his hand. He smirks, wondering if this is the truth of her powers she once alluded to. A system window declares that player Shin Sang-yoon is being given a unique rank artifact. He stares in shock at a list of powerful unique weapons offered as his reward. Overwhelmed by the options, he realizes the unique rank is on a completely different level than he imagined. The tiny goddess smirks knowingly at his confusion as he struggles to comprehend the situation. A notification shocks him further, revealing that the Goddess of Luck's authority has unlocked a hidden effect. He suddenly remembers that this was part of their contract, as the tiny goddess looks on proudly. Overcome with emotion, he vows to do anything for his patron goddess. He nervously checks on his teammates, hoping they are too preoccupied with their own rewards to notice his special treatment. With the tiny goddess at his side, he decides it's time to choose his prize. He declares he doesn't need to think, his eyes already set on the greatsword of fighting spirit. The chosen artifact begins to form from a fragment of pink light. He confidently states that he already had an artifact in mind from the start. The magnificent greatsword of fighting spirit fully materializes before him, radiating immense power. A system window displays the sword's impressive stats, including massive boosts to attack, strength, and agility, plus a hidden recovery bonus. Sang-yoon smirks, noting the sword's crazy stats are perfectly suited for a unique artifact. He firmly grips the hilt, promising to take good care of his powerful new weapon. With a mighty slam, he tests the sword's power, shattering the ground beneath it. He struggles with the sword's immense weight, wondering why it's so heavy as the tiny goddess looks on. A notification reveals a penalty. Due to his devour artifact skill, the sword's lighten effect is halved, making all his gear feel like 100 kilograms. He stares at the notification in confused silence. The system highlights the penalty, confirming all equipped artifacts will feel like they weigh 100 kilograms. He fumes in anger, questioning if this is an insurance scam and when this hidden condition was added. Kim Miso asks if something is wrong, but Sang-yoon forces a laugh and says everything is fine. The party proudly displays their new class-specific artifacts, thanking Sang-yoon for making it possible. He tries to be modest, but Kim Miso insists they can't deny his role in their success. She proposes giving Sang-yoon all the boss drops and magic stones, leaving him stunned. He tries to refuse their generous offer, but the women insist it's the only fair conclusion after their calculations. Hiding his face, Sang-yoon feigns being overwhelmed by their kindness. As his teammates console him for crying, he learns the loot is worth an incredible 150 million. His feigned tears turn into a sinister, greedy grin, which unnerves his party members. He struggles internally to suppress a triumphant laugh, trying to hold it in. The party exits the Frost Hell Gate, emerging onto the front road of Chunui Station. Sang-yoon reluctantly agrees to take the loot to check its value later, turning down Kim Miso's offer to eat together. The team waves goodbye, with Kim Miso promising to call as Sang-yoon thanks them for their help. Kim Miso stops walking, lost in thought for a moment. She turns back, asking Sang-yoon if she can call him whenever she wants, surprising him. Internally biting back a rude comment, he nervously agrees that it's no problem. He flashes a charming smile, telling them to get home safe. He muses to himself that he never expected to see her make such an expression. As Joo-hee and Park Tae-sik walk ahead, Kim Miso feels like she and Sang-yoon were intruding on something private. She mentally wishes to see Sang-yoon again soon. Smiling warmly, Kim Miso waves a final goodbye as she leaves. Sang-yoon stands alone, watching them depart, with his new greatsword slung over his shoulder. He smiles, touched by her sweetness and realizing how long it's been since someone spoke to him so kindly. He finds a secluded back alley near the Chunui Station gate. A notification confirms he has successfully absorbed the fated greatsword. He notes the absorbed sword had no bonus stats, but he's happy the food it gave him was his favorite, grilled mackerel kimbap. With everything cleaned up, he readies himself for the next phase of his plan. He pulls up his status window to check his progress. His player info shows he's now level 51, with massive stat boosts to strength and dexterity from his new gear. He reviews his new acquisitions, the knockback burst skill, and the clever hunter title. He grins proudly while looking over his significantly improved status. He marvels at his huge strength increase and new titles, declaring the gate was a true treasure trove. He decides to invest his stat points to boost his luck even further. His luck stat surpasses 200, recalibrating his critical hit range. Thrilled by his potential 600% critical hit, he celebrates reaching level 50 in just 15 days, far faster than in his past life. A surge of red energy erupts around him as he vows to catch up to a rival named Ghostblade Do Gyung-soo. As a notification warns of an eerie atmosphere, he declares he will get his revenge on Shin Tae-ri next. He pauses, a nervous sweat breaking out as he recognizes a familiar pattern unfolding. A system message announces that new constellations are seeking his presence. The first constellation to make contact is the Lion King, who expresses great interest in his swordsmanship. 3 new divine figures appear: the majestic Lion King, a powerful bearded warrior, and his own gleeful patron goddess. A menacing, dark-skinned elf with glowing green eyes appears, joining the other constellations. A final message reveals the new arrival is the Dark Hunter, who questions the very existence of someone like him. Sang-yoon stands frozen in shock as a menacing red aura envelops him. The goddess of luck declares this a great lineup, sending Sang-yoon coins skyrocketing, much to his exasperation. He stares as four powerful constellations, his patron, the Lion King, a bearded warrior, and the Dark Hunter, materialize before him. Sang-yoon smirks, realizing the constellations appeared so quickly because of his ridiculously fast growth rate. He blames his patron's social nature for the attention, and she gives him a knowing thumbs up, confirming she heard his thoughts. He recognizes two of the figures, the mighty Lion King and the powerful owner of a beautiful beard. Despite knowing who they are, their presence makes him uncomfortable as they gaze down at him intently. Grar, the Lion King, scolds him for being nervous, while the owner of a beautiful beard threatens to take his head off. He apologizes nervously, internally groaning that this is exactly why he hates hero constellations and their pushy recruitment tactics. He turns his attention to the Dark Hunter, considering her an even more dangerous presence. He grimaces, realizing she is the last person he ever wanted to encounter in this life. He recalls that she is a bounty hunter who monitors the Dimension Core for real-time updates. She roams the system, tracking down specific players who have drawn the system's attention. Her targets are players who've received excessive benefits from system errors or committed severe rule violations. He remembers from his past life how she relentlessly hunted players with dual contracts, a stark contrast to his own unique situation. Gritting his teeth in frustration, he declares he dislikes all the new constellations, noting their strength and stamina boosts. He knows that choosing a second constellation can completely alter a player's future, but he remains hesitant. For now, he decides, having the Goddess of Luck as his sole patron is more than enough for him. Still, he considers the three new, imposing figures before him, weighing his options. As he looks at the Dark Hunter, he has a sudden, dawning realization about her presence. A vision of a mythical dragon over a mountain reminds him of the highest tier of divine beings. These are mythical constellations, a class so rare that only a handful of players in history have ever formed contracts with them. He understands now that they are, quite literally, beings of myth and legend. With newfound resolve, Sang-yoon faces the divine beings and apologizes, but states he won't be choosing anyone today. The Lion King is dumbfounded by the rejection, while the owner of a beautiful beard promises to return, having taken a liking to him. As the others fade, the Dark Hunter gives him one last lingering look before turning to depart. A final message from the Dark Hunter warns him that one day, she will uncover all of his hidden secrets. She flashes a sinister smile as her shadowy form completely vanishes from the alley. Sang-yoon is left alone, startled as the last vestiges of their powerful auras dissipate. He sighs, admitting the situation is troublesome and vowing to be more careful around constellations from now on. He pulls out his phone, deciding it's about time to get moving. Seeing the time is 11:25, he figures he can make it to his destination without being late. He looks up with a confident smile, seemingly unfazed by the silhouettes of monstrous beasts surrounding him in his mind's eye. Hefting his new greatsword, he considers the difficulty of completing 3 runs a day. With a determined grin, he steels himself for the challenge ahead, ready to get started. The scene shifts to the Player Association's Q area building near Jamsel Station. Inside the high-tech Rift Management Bureau, 2 staff members are in a serious discussion. A woman at a console answers a call, identifying herself as part of the Korean Player Association. She gasps, utterly shocked by the information she's receiving. "No way," she shouts, leaping from her chair in disbelief. An emergency alert flashes on screen. A rift has appeared at Bupyeong Station, and she orders all combatants to mobilize immediately. As she confirms the situation and prepares to request aid, she realizes someone is already on site. On the street, a woman on the phone reports that a single player is already fighting the monsters alone, stunning the operator. The woman looks on in terror through a shattered bus stop as Sang-yoon battles a horde of monsters. As a massive axe swings down, she watches Sang-yoon move to intercept it, thinking he doesn't stand a chance.